Hello, I'm a perfectly normal human being who likes to talk about fantasy football pretty much 24/7. I have an absolutely normal back. I am not old. I'm in fact young and one with the youth. So yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about Dynasty for the next 3 hours, I guess. Dynasty Outhouse is not going to be able to make it with us tonight. Again, we are deeply sad, but also we understand why he'll prefer talking to Addison more often. That makes sense. Other than that, yeah, let's get to it. Anyone got any questions? Drop them in the comments. Let's make some Dynasty magic. I regret saying that immediately. Hey, Zach.
Hey, how do you do, fellow kids?
How do you do? Yeah, that's how I feel right now. I mean, it's when you get it. Just back pain can hit at any age, but when it happens, you're like, "Oh, I'm old now." Like only old people have back problems, as far as I can tell, and I'm in that category now. We probably should have talked or prepped a little bit about what we haven't seen each other in a couple weeks. You're wearing an awesome shirt. I didn't even mention it. I miss that show quite a lot. Goddamn babies. No, literally babies have gotten in the way of that show. And yeah, but we got questions. Last week it was me and John Hogue, and it was not fun. I did not enjoy it. Me and John, frenemies. Like it's awful.
I was trying to get done, Peter, to jump on, but I was recording another show with J Mike and the boys over at the Fantasy Timeline. So I tried.
You're just a guy on the couch. You're allowed not to be around. Like Ryan McDowell, like our business papa said he would come along, and he did not. He did not. Like that feels like a letdown. Like I don't have the pull to get Ryan McDowell in here for 5 minutes. That's sad. G Money. Hey guys, how do you value DeAndre Hopkins? I'm going to go ahead and guess that is. And what do you think about the range of outcomes for the production wide receiver rank at the end of 2022? I think he's pure production at this point. He has no dynasty value. I mean, everyone has value as a person and also in a dynasty league because no one's going to give him to you for free. But if you're rostering him, it's not like he's a great deal. It's not like you can treat him like he has value. And I think if you want some decent production, he's a really good... It's DeAndre Hopkins, man. He can put up a top 5 season. Yeah, he can. Yes, he can. He's DeAndre Hopkins. But even if he does, I definitely don't think his value goes anywhere this time next year. I mean... So he's production. He's pure production. You give someone a second round pick if you just need that extra veteran backup because he does have upside because he's DeAndre Hopkins.
I think you might be able to get it. Like if you have DeAndre Hopkins on your team and you're not competing this year, so you want to sell him because he would be one of the players that. Well, but I think you could get a back end first in this year's class.
We're way too close to the draft. Every time I bring it up now, people are like, "But you could get Chris Olave there," and I'm like. DeAndre Hopkins, man, but yeah, whatever.
I mean, you don't think
it depends on your league, right? I mean, if you can get that, do that. But yeah, sorry, I don't mean to talk over you like that.
No, it's all good. Like, but that's what I would be. That's what I would be trying to do is get a back end first. See if I could get one of those players. I mean, Olave obviously is one of the guys that gets mentioned there. But Christian Watson, Skye Moore, that kind of area, you're probably not getting a DeAndre Hopkins there. You've already missed your sell window.
Sorry.
Yeah, so you've already missed your sell window. So it's exactly like what you said, Peter, is if you are a contending team, go try to get him on the cheap because he's pure points. If you're not, you missed your sell window and hope that you can get a back end first round pick.
Okay, 3 things occurred to me all at once. So I'm just going to say, one, I don't know why I work so hard on the setup and the lighting, and I hurt my vision while I'm doing this because of the way I have to have the lighting to make it somewhat, professional. And I was watching back some of our previous streams. You basically can't see me. I'm just one pixelated blob because of where I stream from, and there's no way for me to improve that. So I don't know why I work so hard on it. 2, I love you. And 3, because I forgot it. I was thinking about trades. I've been thinking about trades nonstop this off season because it's got to be in my leagues. I just got to get better at it. The edges. I've been on my autopilot in leagues for too long. And last time I was playing actively, there were more edges. Like again, in my leagues, no one's giving me shit for DeAndre Hopkins. No one's gonna make the Vincent Jackson fallacy in those last few years,
right?
Because they're just production. Definitely, they can do it, but there's too much risk in Dynasty. The people in my leagues just won't give it me. They're all youth obsessed and constantly building, and they know more than me. So I've been thinking about nothing but trades, and then it occurred to me this week that there's something missing in fantasy football. If this is going to be such a viable part of Dynasty, it's like you have to trade, you have to sell things and buy things in order to improve a team in a Dynasty league. But it's this market where if you pitch a damn thing, then we've faux par'd it. You can't send a comment about why your player is good or why the trade is good, because immediately that angers the other person. But if you can't pitch, because literally with faux par'd it, it's immediately read as a negative, you're trying to sell me shit, I know my shit, then essentially you have to ride on. That's why DeAndre Hopkins has no value. You can't sell it. So you have to send CeeDee Lamb, who everyone already likes, because you can't sell it. It has to have stick of face value.
So here's
what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no market because it has to already have innate value. If they don't see it, you're screwed.
The way I approach that though is have a conversation with somebody before we're trading. So I made 3 or 4 trades with Bobby Koch this past week, and one of them. So we were talking before the show. Like I'm in the middle of
This is where I came to. I was like, that's why everyone like you and Bobby who like people and like build relationships. And Leo's like psychology because he likes thinking and talking to people. And I'm like, it just
well, but like I don't like the back and forth in trade. So like when I make a trade, it's generally like this is my offer, but I will have a conversation about it before I make an offer. Or if I make an offer, I'll have a conversation with you about why you liked it or didn't like the offer, and we'll see if we can come to an agreement. But like DeAndre Hopkins, his value right now is about 2 years away from Adam Thielen's value right now.
DeAndre Hopkins' value is 2 years away from Adam Thielen's value
right now. So like
I would
in
think
2
they're
years,
the same right now.
No, but you think Thielen and Hopkins are the same right now? I think Hopkins has the cachet, has a couple of years. He's a couple of years younger. Like, so, but this
is one of the things where I feel like there's a difference in talking in my leagues and in general. Like in general, I agree with you. He should, but I don't know. I'm going to have that much of a different experience putting Thielen in a trade versus Hopkins now.
But what I did. What I did with Thielen, and this may be the way to go with Hopkins, is I packaged Thielen and a first to move up to make a pick of Treylon Burks. And I was excited. Like I'm happy with being able to pair Thielen and a first to move up to the first that is Treylon Burks. And so maybe that's the way you use him as a piece to move up as opposed to the main piece in a trade.
I mean, maybe you're right. Like DeAndre Hopkins ranked in the 90s or so on Keep Trade Cut, and Thielen's 153rd. So I guess what I would do is I trade him for Thielen plus a second at that value. Yeah. But again, it's one of those players where I think that's my answer. I think that's what John Bosch would tell me. DeAndre Hopkins doesn't have no value no more. But I definitely think we're well past the sell window. So if you can get a late first for him, you're doing really good. My instinct is to go someone like Thielen plus a second. If I'm getting a late first, I assume I can get that. But it feels disingenuous. That sometimes it feels I don't know where the line is, and ADP doesn't always cover it. Sell Gabe Davis for 3 firsts. It's terrible advice because no one's buying, So, yeah. Anyway, sorry. Gavin, what up? What up? Back to you, my man. Joe, rock and roll, not around here. You hear the nice doot, 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 doot. That's our vibe. Get with it. And Scott, 12-team Superflex. I have 523 firsts. Someone who's taken the advice of everyone in the industry very seriously, and executed on it, I guess. And 324 firsts. Okay, and really want Debo. What is my max to pay in picks? In Debo right now, it's a good time to send trade offers, but you're going to have to send something decent. When a dip happens for someone of that value, it's not like, depending on your league, they're going to panic sell. So I think 3 first value, but you're trying to get away with not sending 3 first. So I would send, I don't know, Rashad Bateman and a first. It's a really strong trade, I think. And if someone's panicked, I think they're interested in it.
I don't mind looking at that team and saying, "Hey, I'll give you 324 firsts." Like those 324 firsts, and you go get Debo. Like I don't, because if I've got Debo and I've got 5 2023 firsts, and we've identified that obviously as a good class. And look, it's not that 2024 is going to be a slouch of a class, but if you can get 2 years of production out of Debo, plus you have that reload in 2023, I'm not worried about 2024. You can have a draft class where you don't pick in the first round because your team is good enough that you don't need that.
No, I love that trade. Like, I don't really want 2024 first, but when you're building, you end up acquiring something sometimes. And the whole idea is not to continue hoarding, but to do something with them at some point. And if you see a player that you personally really want, I mean, you can always unload for it and then build up more draft capital. To be honest, the game doesn't stop, right? So I don't hate that. I try and come in below that. That's my instinct.
Yep.
But and I don't want to trade Rashad Bateman. That's why I like yours better too. To be honest. Where are you at? First, what's happening with Debo in your opinion? Is he getting traded? Is he unhappy?
He is unhappy. There are teams already inquiring about him. He probably will be shipped. He said he does not want to be a ball carrier the way he was last year with San Francisco. So you're losing a little bit of the production that you got with him carrying the ball and his 9 touchdowns as a runner. But he was also very productive as a wide receiver. So you're, in theory, maintaining that production and gaining longevity because he's not being absolutely smoked every time he takes the ball as a running back. So, yeah, but I do think he ends up. There are lots of teams inquiring about him. The Jets would be an interesting one because you've got Salah there who comes from San Francisco. They've got some room to work with in their receiving core. They've got some cap space. I don't know. Like, I would hate to actually venture a bet on where he goes, but it wouldn't surprise me if he gets moved.
All right. Jesse asks, Murray and Marcus Brown or Stafford, Devontae Adams, and Kareem Hunt. I want Murray and Brown, assuming this is a Superflex league. He also asks, should he add the 110 to get that done, or is it already enough, basically?
Man, that's
a difficult question because, I would do that trade as it is. If that's what you're asking, if it's on the table, and if they're asking him for the 110, yeah, I guess. But it's pushing the boundaries for me. I think the sell window on Adams is closing, but it's not going to close until, this season. Hunt's just undervalued, so I don't mind rostering him at all.
Right.
Stafford's upside is the same. He's just got less dynasty value.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't know if I would add the 110 to that side. Like,
it kind of pushes it just a little too far, doesn't it?
I think I would. I'm already just slightly leaning the Stafford Adams Hunt side, just slightly.
Oh wow!
But adding, and look, I get that Murray is the piece that you want in this.
That's kind of where I was going.
He is.
I like Brown, but the jewel here is Kyler Murray on your roster.
But I'm always looking to score points in the next 2 years. And I'm going to score more points with Stafford and Devontae Adams in the next 2 years than I am with Murray and Marquise Brown. I think
if you had Hunt in there, then yeah. I think Murray and Brown's it's competitive. I'm worried Stafford Adams puts up his first top 24 season in a while, and his value's obviously got more of a ticking clock to it.
Yep.
But yeah, I see your point. And if your team's really but it seems like because he wants the Murray and Brown side, I'm assuming that he's more on the line of value, if you know what I mean. He doesn't feel like he's overly competitive outside of those three guys.
Right. And
you kind of take value where you can get it if you're that way. But if your team's fine, I think, I wouldn't add the 110 either way. That's probably the answer. BJ Lee, what are you guys doing for the NFL draft? Don't know. I've been asked to be on the DLF live stream for day one, so I'm going to try and get the time off and do that. I know I always get really excited.
What are you doing day two, Pete?
I know what you tell me, Zach.
We're rolling the day two draft show, the Dynasty Dummies.
What time is that?
I don't know. I have to look it up.
See, that's the thing. I have to take time off work, so I'd love to do that as well. I always get really excited for the draft, and then the closer it gets, the more I remember how boring it is sitting there waiting for teams to pick players. And then there's like 3 things to say the minute it happens because you got to see the rest of the draft.
Well, see, that don't tell anybody. I know this is on the DLF stream, but that's why we do day two, because
so you can
in the time it takes to pick, we can talk about all the quarterbacks that went on day one, and then we get everything that happens in round 2 and 3. It was a calculated, we did that on purpose.
There you go. I'm on the DLF live stream on day 1, and on day 2, apparently we're going to be doing a live stream with the Dynasty Dummies show. So look out for times for that. Yep. Jesse, 12-team Superflex for the Murray Brown question. Yeah, Superflex are kind of assumed, or why put quarterbacks in there, really? No one cares. What should I have for Deshaun Watson? The 106, and assuming it's a super flex, another first.
Yeah.
At least. Would be my generic answer.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people would want a quarterback back.
Yeah.
So that's, I know that a lot of people that I trade with, their rule is, if it's a super flex draft, if I'm giving up a quarterback, I want a quarterback back. It doesn't necessarily have to be the same caliber. Probably won't be, but they
I like trying to exploit that when I can. That's why I kind of try and stock up a little bit on that second tier. So, because if you can trade away a quarterback without getting one in return, like that's an edge in trading in a super at some point. And I like that.
All I heard was you are now a QBX disciple. That's all I heard.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The Hogue comes on 1 week and now
one episode with
John
Hogue. We argued that so many things. It's not even 10-team Superflex. Herbert for Wentz and the 106 and the 110 and Kareem Hunt. No, I just keep Herbert.
I would rather have a Herbert. Yeah. Yep.
10-team. No way. Can you give us some RBs to take at the end of rookie drafts? Yeah, there's always running backs to take at the end of rookie drafts. I'll pull some up here. Zach, you got any off the top of your head?
Like how the end? How many rounds are your rookie drafts, Ricky? I mean,
because I can line you up here, my man. And also, who's going to be going at the end is going to change a lot with the draft. For example, I really like Kyron Williams and Tyler Batty. But if they get, it's not impossible they get taken in the first 3 rounds, and suddenly they're not late round picks. And so I'm going to, and Brian Robinson, the same thing. So I'm going to aim a little lower than that. Rashad White, same thing. Sincere McCormick, it's probably going to be a late round pick no matter what. Max Borgi, somewhat interesting. Abram Smith for the linebackers. Do it one time.
I'll tell you the player that I'm looking at, and it'll be interesting to see where he goes in the NFL draft. But Zakondre White is out of South Carolina, was not their feature back, but he's got some things about his game that really remind me a little bit of the Antonio Gibson, where you didn't really know what he was because he hadn't done it enough. but he was really athletic and was a decent pass catcher. So that's somebody at the very back end that I'm looking at. Keonta Ingram, but he probably won't go to the end of your rookie drafts. But 2 years ago, Keonta Ingram was in Devy circles one of the running backs in this class to be on, and he has since fallen out of favor. He's but I really like a lot.
You want to know? I haven't looked at him.
No?
I just looked him up, and he's just blank in my notes section. He's one of like 4 or 5 that I haven't really got to. So my model put him 20th. Not that means a hell of a fucking lot, to be honest with you. So yeah,
Sincere McCormick is another name to keep in mind. Small school guy.
I thought I said that guy.
Did you?
Yeah, I like Sincere.
But
oh shit, my ranks seem messed up here. These weren't my ranks. That's not why I have that. I gotta fix my ranks apparently. Anyway, I was gonna say, who do we list? Sincere McCormick. You like this Keonta Ingram, who I have to confess to not looking at. Pierre Strong, you got mentioned.
Yes, absolutely.
I've heard of him a lot actually. I haven't been able to dig into him too much, but I did finally get his stats in the database. I think Max Borgi is just going to be an interesting name just because of the reception history he had on that team. Yeah, he's interesting.
But that was, that's a team where like Washington State, that was what they did, was funnel the passing work to the running back. And so we've seen the last couple of running backs to come out of there have just ungodly reception numbers and then fizzle in the NFL. And I am worried that that's Borgi too. After being comped his first 2 years to Christian McCaffrey.
That's fair. Yeah. That's how I first heard about him as well. This Christian McCaffrey clone. I was like, okay.
No.
Apparently my running backs ranks are really fucked up. That is not where I left them, I swear. But yeah, those are the names I remember because my ranks are not helping me out here at all. Sincere McCormick, he really stood out in my model, but he's coming from such a low draft conference, so kind of nowhere near the tier his production's coming up at, but he looks to have done a pretty good job. Borgi, just because of that reception history, scheme or not, if an NFL team puts him on their roster, that's what they're expecting from him, and that has dynasty value. And he seems to be able to cope with it. Well, he did pretty well with those touches. Outside of that, most of the names that I've got in my head are actually probably not late round picks. It's Brian Robinson, it's Batty, Kyron Williams, those kind of players who are probably closer to a second than they are fourth right now. They're not second round picks, but they're probably close.
I think Robinson could end up being a second round pick. In 2 weeks when he could end up being my running back 3 depending on where he lands. I enjoyed his film enough, and I think you've got it. A lot depends on the draft, but he could end up being that guy that I really am interested in, because I think you've got Breece Hall, you've got Walker, and you have Spiller, who is that has more question marks in his overall game. Walker has the question marks in his receiving game, and then I think the next guy is Brian Robinson for me. So hopefully, Ricky, we gave you at least a few names you can snipe people.
Sorry, I just got fascinated by the fact my ranks have messed up and I've completely lost the plot.
Peter, I've been looking at your ranks for years, thinking I'd be like, man, those ranks are messed up.
That's fair. Hey, man, I said bye, Brandon Ayuk, and Deebo Samuel's like, I want to trade. I'm prophetic, man. That's... Ronnie Rhodes, what pick-wise would you be willing to give up for Ertz? Second round pick. Tight end premium doesn't matter nearly as enough to me as whoever's rostering Ertz, but I think he's going to score some points. So I'm willing to give up something for him, just not a first.
Yeah, and that's fair. And I think if you can get Ertz and a tight end premium for a second on a contending team, that's a win.
You probably have to add something to
I
that.
just traded Ertz today. I traded Ertz and Miles Sanders for the 110 or 111. I went and got Sam Howell. I went and got a quarterback for Miles Sanders and Zach Ertz. So
there you go.
Every now and then.
Before the draft, some guts.
Yep.
Ridley Truther, recovering. You guys had to modify my name. What are your thoughts on Goddard's rank by mid-season? I think Goddard's
higher,
being slept on the way tight ends can be slept on. He's actually entering a really interesting year for someone with his production history. He could technically, this is one of his best years to hit top 5. I don't know, it really doesn't matter, even because it's tight end, but I think he's going to be good, like he has been. And people are kind of tired because they thought Ertz was just in the way because they don't understand how opportunity works in the NFL. And he wasn't. He's just good tight end. He's just not Travis Kelce, Jimmy Graham, Rob Gronkowski. So
I think tight end 3, I think, is crazy.
Yeah,
which is the end.
As long as Kittle exists, never. Over my dead body.
But you're gonna have Pitts. You're gonna have Pitts. You're gonna have Andrews. You're gonna have Kittle. So there are
Kelce.
3.
Yeah,
you're. People are coming off Kelce because he's 30, 31,
this
32,
guy was just
32.
arguing for Devontae Adams. Come on, man.
No, I'm not saying I'm off Kelce, but I'm saying that the community is really sensitive to age, and so that Kelce Waller, I could see him jumping Waller, and I could see him jumping Hawkinson to get up to tight end 5 if he has a great year. But I think tight end 3 is a little bit. There's not a lot of meat on the bone. Like we're like Goddard's up to what, tight end 7 or 8 already.
There's only really 2 tight ends that have value in Dynasty, and then there's like a big 7-player tier. He could end up in that 7-player tier easily, and towards the top of it, fine. But like I will always take Kittle over most people in that tier. So. Yeah. There is no tight end 3 almost because it's maybe Waller and Kelce. Yeah, I think we answered it. I'm moving on.
We did this one.
12 Teams Flex Ppr.
We did this one. Yeah.
Okay. Any concerns with Elijah Moore taking into consideration the Debo trade rumors? No, this is essentially what we said we were kind of waiting for with Elijah Moore. We want his value to drop when they add a wide receiver somehow.
Yep.
And I get that it's weird that so many of the best wide receivers seem to be on the same team. But there's a lot of things that kind of make sense with that, with only being a few good teams and only a few good coaching staffs that seem to be worth damn, and only a few good situations that seem to have quarterbacks that can supply wide receivers with decent amounts of touchdown potential. So there's a lot that goes into it. Like historically, there are at least 4 teams a year that produce 2 top 24 wide receivers. It's nowhere near as uncommon as you may think. In fact, it's very common and very regular every season. And right now, we have several quarterbacks in the prime, like their early prime of their quarterback season. They're in the ascent, like the Drew Brees, Peyton Manning era. Like this is when they're going to be doing a lot of surprising to some damage. So no, I don't think they have one of those quarterbacks, to be clear. But I think Elijah Moore is good. He can attract, unvacate, I guess, enough volume that he's going to score fantasy points, even if Wilson can't be one of those quarterbacks. So I tend, especially in Dynasty, I think there are better best ball conversations to be had about mitigating risk with not rostering players from similar teams or only stacking certain ways. But in Dynasty, I think he's going to score points. So I'm not too worried when 2 players are on the same team. It's like I'm not worried about rostering Chase and Mixon, for example. I know I cross positions there, but you get what I mean. Late RBs, Ingram, Chandler, Price. I think we even mentioned. We mentioned. Oh, you
mentioned Ingram. The other 2 are like 5th year. Like they've been in college for a while and not great receiving profiles. But like, yeah, late. I guess
I mentioned P.S. Strong. That's kind of like Price. I feel like.
Ty Chandler and Devontae Price. Hey. I like Keonta Ingram much better out of those, Joe. That's my guy.
Okay, good to know. I have Herbert, Kyler, Burrow because I got good value in the startup. Nice. Should I trade Burrow for Chase straight up in a super flex? Yeah, I would actually, but that's kind of I would. I'm okay going down a quarterback if I have the excess.
Yeah,
but maybe explore getting a quarterback in return with it. Sometimes you can do that if they got a Davis Mills or a pick somewhere. I don't know. What do you think, Zach? That's even. That's fair, and I would do it. That's the best I can say.
Yeah, I would rather have Jamar Chase than Burrow. Even just straight up, I would rather have Chase for Burrow. So yes, Sean, yes.
Yeah, I was just trying to do the hat tip to the don't trade flex QBs without a QB coming back. But that's exactly what I kind of like to do. I hope the 49ers trade Debo to the worst team in football. Gotta be a horror story city too. Maybe Detroit. Some personal recovery issues going on here.
I would say that is a totally unbiased opinion.
Totally unbiased. Nobody really wants Nuke or Thielen anymore. Got to package them with a pick or Youngin. Yeah, it's kind of the way I feel. But again, it's how. If you've got an idiot like me running around going points, then you probably find a little extra value. But in general, I think it's fair to realize that passive value arc. 10-team Superflex, Chase Edmonds or the 203, and Kirk Cousins I think this is two different questions. So 10-team Superflex, first one, Chase Edmonds or the 203? I take the 203 this year. I think that's a strong back of the round tier. And Chase Edmonds, I don't know what he is, but we're past where I'd expect to see something. So, yeah, man.
Well, and especially in Miami with that, you just don't know what's going on there. So, yeah, I would take the 203. You can't make me be happy about it. But I would.
Me smile, but I'll do it. It comes with no smiles. Make sure you put that in the trade comments.
And Cousins in a super flex over Sanders in the 301 by quite a sight.
That's just easy.
Yeah.
It's weird. People get upset when I have two Miami wide receivers in the top 12, but they don't notice when I have them ranked right next to Kirk Cousins. Their quarterback right next to Kirk Cousins. Tua should be higher. I'm I've got him ranked next to Kirk Cousins. He's already doing it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Evening, lads. Hey, Weeds. How you doing, bud? 12-man PPR. There? Oh,
they have Pittman
telling me which
and
side.
Juju. Yeah.
I struggle. Okay, I struggle. I'm a struggling boy. Give me.
English is your second language. I get it.
At least Pittman and Juju or Cooper, A-Rob, and the 206. Pittman and Juju. No, fuck. I hate that. Actually, I saw A-Rob and I was like Juju, but no, Cooper's.
Yeah, I'd rather have Amari Cooper. I think in that whole group.
Allen Robinson's probably a decent a flyer as you're gonna get. The 206, stuff the 206, and let me keep Juju maybe.
Yeah. No, I'd hang on, Weaves. I would hang on to that. I think.
I would try Allen Robinson and the 206 for either of them. I'm in, but I'm keeping Amari Cooper if this is a value he's bringing. Screw Amari keeping Hopkins for the points. I guess I just roster Amari Cooper past his value arc too.
Try that. Try A-Rob in the 206 for Juju and see what that gets you, because that's the player who has the biggest potential for climb, I think, in out of Pittman and Juju.
See, that's what keeps occurring to me. Cooper's worth more than either of them, so one of them must be worth that second part of the deal, which is the part of the deal I'd be interested in. You know what I mean?
And look, I think Pittman is good, but I think you've seen Pittman's value.
We've seen his ceiling for sure.
Where it is. Juju, if he comes out and all of a sudden goes great guns in Kansas City, his value is going to rebound because he's still fairly young and he's been a top 6 wide receiver before.
I keep thinking Cooper Kupp, but with Patrick Mahomes. That's essentially the upside with Juju.
Yep.
We go nuts. Nearly. Or he's going to Juju again. It's almost a verb at this point, Juju gonna Juju, but like the upsides, I don't know anyone in that value range. There's a lot of great players. There's Jerry Jeudy, there's Pittman. That has that level of upside. If you're really going for upside, that's kind of why I like a Juju. Not because I'm just holding on to a take that keeps failing. Yeah. Also, actually, that I don't know this in, but I was thinking about this earlier. Like that's why I have always liked, and why I'm trying to play the edge of where trying to win and trying to be cautiously value aware is because second year Juju Smith-Schuster, there was no safer bet than trading for Juju. Not like there's the trading for Jamar Chase right now is as safe as we felt about trading or rostering Juju after his second year. Like there is no safety. It's worth remembering. There is no such thing as safe. Anyway. Felt like you were going to correct me.
No. I agree. The only difference between Chase and the way
that's
Juju
an extreme
plays,
example.
But that was Juju is a player who benefits from having a one. Like I think he is. I think he always has been, and I think Chase is a one. And so there's just that little. Just a little difference.
I wasn't comparing the players.
I know.
But in terms of how comfortable we were with their dynasty value, like after that, anyway. I think I skipped over your question there. Really, truth. You'll be pissed paying three firsts for Debo when in 2 weeks he's a Jet. I don't know.
Always buy into the laundry narratives. Always.
Let the drama begin. Honestly, it's been a while since the NFL did something crazy. Let it begin. I'm with you on that part. Yeah. Come up on 504 in a startup. Barkley, Godwin, Terry, Zach Wilson, Mac. Superflex, I'm assuming if the quarterbacks are in the conversation. Barkley in the 5th round? That seems like a win.
Yeah. To me, it's either Barkley or depending on what your quarterback situation looks like, Mac Jones. Like those are the and Jones. The only reason I would say drafting Jones is because I think that you have the potential to be able to trade him for higher value. So if it depends on how you play, if you're comfortable trading, if you're in an active league, it's probably Mac Jones. Otherwise, it's
this reminds me of a question we got last time where it's like, if you've left quarterback too late, you've got to take that quarterback now. The tiers are getting shaky. But Godwin's a pretty good value here too. But, it's Barkley, or if your quarterbacks are struggling, just take Mac Jones. The answer is never Zach Wilson, though. Like, you could have left him off this list. That'd be fine. Shanahan believes Debo is replaceable because it's all about the system. Yeah, I've heard him believe that before. Bang the
Belichick
table a few times for his system.
Belichick believed Brady was replaceable because it's all about the system, and then Mac Jones threw 3 times in Buffalo. Like, I get it. Like,
it's amazing how the system keeps failing when the wrong players are in it. That's all I'll suggest.
Yeah, good players make you look awfully good as a coach.
Yeah. Who's the guy who was motivating 2 years after they selected him way too early in the draft? I can't even remember that guy's name. Like everyone was convinced the system, and then he had to be motivated, and that was the thing. And then, who is he?
He was one of Jake's guys, wasn't he? I know that's why you're bringing him up.
I don't think so. I think we're on the same page with him. I'm going to struggle. I'm going to remember it eventually. But no, the system matters. In the same way quarterback matters. It's just people use it as like a solve for I can massage this sleeper into something better and just let the burn. Okay? It's all right. You need players too. You don't just need a system. I'm trying to pivot off Mac Jones in a few leagues. Like his value isn't good enough to pivot. Like I'm actually more interested in his upside or where his value is right now, but it's your team. So realize I have too many shares. That's a different problem. To either Kyler or Dak. That's a big jump. What would you take for your Dak, Kyler, for Mac Jones? Like I need 2 first-round picks with Mac Jones to get either of those to start. Like that's a huge jump from Mac to Kyler or Dak.
Yeah.
Like you got to add at least 2 firsts to that and see if they're feeling Mac Jonesy. And I think I turn it in.
It was Dante Pettis was the guy that you were.
Yes. Thank you. I like to remember busts this time of year. Not just the ones I got right, but the ones I got wrong. But it's fun to remember the ones other people got wrong. Because you spend so long remembering all the mistakes you made, you forget you made a few correct decisions along the way sometimes. So, I was reminding people of Rashad Perriman on the timeline today. Everyone was deeply in their feels about Rashad Perriman to the point that his third team along, this is the year he's going to finally come. So, anyway. Corey Coleman, that's a good one. I'm going to do that tomorrow. Almost draft day, Dynasty Fantasy Wednesday night grind. Nobody does it better. No one does that specific thing better. I agree, because we're the only ones. Really truther. It would take a lot of. It would also, 2 firsts and a lot of alcohol. Send it over. Funny, I just realized I've been doing QBX strategy for the last 2 years. It's not a bad strategy. I just think. Anyway, me and John argue about it. The quarterbacks are undervalued in a startup in a superflex because almost they would have to be because of the way they trade in most superflex leagues once the league's going. Like we draft a lot of players over Mac Jones that you can't trade 1-to-1 because he's a quarterback the minute the draft finished. So
See, and I'll QBX in leagues where teams are not valuing quarterbacks. Does it and so when you get to a point where you're looking at dregs of wide receivers or running backs or Derek Carr and the back end I'll stack the back end quarterbacks up, and then eventually people will go, oh, I need a quarterback. I did that in the 12 Olympians League. I traded Derek Carr for a first round pick, which became the 101. Which then became Trevor Lawrence, who then I traded, and so you just kind of keep going. But but if
it is a system that requires you keep making moves, and also there's limits to it. I don't think John's willing to admit, like the fact in a not smart league, but in a very competitive, active league, the market for those quarterbacks is smaller than he's willing to admit. Everyone needs to start QBs. But if several of those teams, like half the league, recognizes they're not the other half of the league, then they can just go, I can lose without a QB2 just fine. Right. And so I can keep the value myself. And so the market's about half the league, not the whole league. You can just lose without a QB2. But you'll be losing. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to be losing if Mac Jones is the only way forward for me, if you know what I mean. Like, he's a good quarterback. Anyway, I'm not having the same argument 2 years and two shows in a row. Stop it, Zach. 2024. I'm not giving up 3 firsts for Debo. You don't have to, Joey. Good news. Derek Brown. I've heard of him. Just promising to say hi. I drafted Kendrick Bourne in the 19th round of startup, and I've never felt so alive. Wait till you trade for him, Derek. It's a wonderful experience. Also, could you stop telling people about the players I like? That'd be great. Like, I can't trade for Tim Patrick or Kendrick Bourne anymore. Luckily, I have them almost everywhere, but still, because Derek's out here telling the unwashed masses. I can't even insult people, right? Thank you, Derek. Ridley Truther, back again. He's talking to Joe, though. I think I'm allowed to leave. Yeah, I'm going to leave. Psych! Pierre and Khalil are in the database. Yay! Yeah, they should be. Yeah. Yep. The Zeno is my name app hasn't been updated, but I updated it's in there. Pierre Strong is dollar store Brees. Derek's a poet. That's why he's succeeding.
He's right. I like Pierre Strong. I like he's a crease runner, man. I like those guys. I like the guys who get small through the line of scrimmage and come out the other side. And it's like Andy Dufresne. It's like Shawshank, swam through a river and came out on the other side clean. Pierre Strong does that every now and then.
That's a reference. Cypher. Hey, the Cypher? No. Hey, Peter, love you. If you have a strong team and picks 1, 2, and 3, I'm guessing 101, 102, 103, in 2022, who would you take after Hall. So, oh God, no, he's back.
What?
Just going to ignore that for a minute. And so, who are your first 3 picks in a Superflex rookie draft right now? Breece Hall is presuming.
Are we sure that this is super? It's Hogue!
Yeah.
We put the QBX symbol up in the sky. He showed up.
I was wondering if he was going to let me in or not.
I'm not.
He's still second guessing it.
You're on the fence. You best be on your best. Superflex or not? Well, he's saying Hall's going 1, so I'm assuming non-Superflex. Let's do that first.
If it's not Superflex, it's going to be Hall, it's going to be Burks, and then I'm going to have a decision to make. Hopefully, this is after the NFL draft, and we've seen landing spot and draft capital, because it's either going to be Garrett Wilson or Walker, probably for me. Probably Garrett Wilson.
A strong pick, but I really have to see the draft before I say such crazy things as that.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's Hall, Burks. I'm on the fence between Wilson, Olave, Walker, basically.
Yep.
So Hall, Burks, trade. On one of those 3, I'll flip a coin if I don't know what the draft is.
Trade back to see if you can trade back to 105 and get a second.
I'm trying to see it. I started creating a draft board and gave up. I'm trying to see if there are any remnants of it
for the longest time, and maybe I still am. Maybe
I
still
Wilson.
That top 3 that would be Wilson, Burks, and Hall. If it's a super flex, I still think I'm taking Malik Willis. Don't tell Hogue, but I still think I'm doing that.
Do it. I'll be honest, man. I'm to a point. I am so just not into the quarterbacks in this class. I'm to a point where I'm considering Kenneth Walker at 2 in the right landing spot. I would definitely do that. And I think Willis probably at 3 before I break the seal on the wide receivers. But it's I
know how you go off players just because of the way people argue for them. Has that ever happened to you? Drake London keeps moving down my board, and it's just because of that. I want to like him. I thought I was going to be high on London, but the way everyone argues from, it's that's not an argument. That's just a string of words you're hoping no one notices.
I could have picked Drake London today in the rookie draft that I had going. Instead, I traded Drake London and Adam Thielen to go get Burks. I was just no.
That's the way to go.
I'm not doing it.
I really feel this class is just go get the one you want. Don't see who falls to you. And if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. But at least you know the damn bet you made.
Yeah.
Hogue, what other show were you recording, by the way, so people can go watch it and tell you it's terrible. You do a terrible job at everything.
I did it. It was Rookie Fever. We did a Superflex rookie mock, and we did it in reverse. So starting at 212, working back. And somehow I still ended up with 3 quarterbacks and 4 picks. So I just missed on Carson Strong. I got sniped on Carson Strong and ended up with Trey McBride instead.
How do you do it in reverse order? That is wild.
Yeah, it was pretty nuts. Yeah, I feel like that was a pretty good teaser, right? They should probably pay me for that after.
I keep thinking someone should probably be paying us for this stuff, but so far. Wait, was that a question? Hey, yeah, Robinson is being underappreciated. Love his tape.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I think he was a good Alabama running back. I mean, why not? He can be a good NFL running back. I don't think there's too much special on his stats, but he was fine. And if he played more years, because Najee Harris sucked a little more than he actually does, then we probably would have seen that for multiple years.
Throw him in Seattle and let him be Chris Carson all over again. Because
I think
do that.
Grading on a curve, Robinson's great in this class. What are we talking about? I mean, take what you can get at the running back this year. Local liability, like this would be I would love to hate on Kenneth Walker, but you know what? He's elite in this class. That's what he is. No catch McGee over there is awesome. Local liability, 12 team super flex. I he traded away the 110 and the 206 for ETN. I think that's solid. Then traded ETN Mooney in the 204 for Waddle.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's awesome.
Run,
that's how wow. Where's your podcast? I need to learn how to trade. I'm trying, man, but I've never managed to
subscribe to your newsletter.
Good. Seriously, that's awesome. Good job. Psych Ward, who is the next feasible tight end breakout? And Kyle Pitts.
Smith.
Kyle Pitts is finally going to catch a touchdown. Smith, come on, don't make fun of the people.
I'm being serious.
Put up a real name. No, you're not. You're not. No.
I'm
right about many things. We're not going to.
What are we talking? Like it's. I mean, it's a Quaybunam, but what's a breakout?
What's a breakout at tight end? Yeah,
that's it. Like a Quaybunam can be in the top 10, but the top 10 is not anything special.
Put it this way: you may have missed it, but Noah Fant broke into the top 12 2 years ago.
Yeah,
you may have missed it, but that's what that feels like. Yeah, I think a Quaybunam, whatever you called him, Abado, someone who's never been particularly relevant, who could now be relevant. Pat Freiermuth is getting forgotten the further the offseason goes. I think he's fine. In the same vein as being top 12. Honestly, Goddard. I'm going to go with Goddard. Everyone forgets he's been top 5 already. So there you go.
Yeah, but he's, I mean, his climb is going to be, I mean, he's what, tight end 7 or 8 right now, in ADP. So his climb, he's going to break up 2 spots.
No, you're right. The only tight end I see that hasn't done anything is suddenly going to do something. Is probably, I mean, it could be Cole Kmet, but that's a different kind of a thing. It's probably Abado. Yeah. Is not, and there's never been and will never be of Smith.
Harrison Bryant's okay, whatever. Harrison Bryant's a lot closer.
He's interesting.
Hooper out of the way.
Yep,
he's interesting.
Well, especially now that you get the quarterback.
I liked him as a prospect. That's what I remember. Yeah. Why not? Changing situations, good players. Why not? Juju Outlook this year. I literally think he has the top range of outcomes. And he might not hit anything. He might be what Juju was. Literally, he could put up 1,400 yards or 800. I'm a little wild on my Juju expectation.
That is going to be a really interesting offense
to
watch how they end up in the post Tyreek Hill era.
I don't get how quarterback lovers, and that's what I term you guys, by the way, and don't believe these quarterbacks they believe are phenomenal can't throw the ball shorter. How's Russell Wilson going to do? He's not as far away. Don't you think he's good? Wouldn't that be easier? What are you talking about?
I mean,
how is Patrick Mahomes going to hit Juju in the flat? He's not as far away. That's the problem? I thought you thought they were good.
We have seen that though. That's the thing. There's precedent for this. We saw Cam Newton win an MVP. And his accuracy literally got worse the closer to the line of scrimmage the target was. So yeah, it happens. It doesn't make sense. I'm with you, but it happens.
Well, and I'm not even worried about Mahomes and Juju. And this is what I said, Peter. I said I am interested to see how that offense evolves.
No, I was actually going to go with
Tyreek Hill.
I think 2022 is shaping up to be a really interesting year in terms of examples of things we don't see often, like quarterback and wide receiver. We don't see a lot of different great wide receivers in their prime play a lot with a lot of different quarterbacks when there isn't this guy's old or this guy's retiring or it's Ben Roethlisberger or whatnot, which is both. But yeah, we're going to see Patrick Mahomes, who we have no questions about, playing with Juju. He's had a really weird career the last few years. We're going to see Tyreek Hill switch to another quarterback. Like, again, we don't have age concerns with him, at least. I think we're going to like double our example size. I'm not going to say the word sample size because everyone thinks nerd when I do, but we're going to double our number of examples of what happens with different wide receivers with different quarterbacks, because that happens so rarely. It's basically Odell Beckham, and that remains a mystery. Honestly, was he suddenly better again when he went to Stafford, or was he what he was with Baker? And he definitely wasn't what he was with Eli anymore. So we need more examples, and 2022 is going to provide a bunch of them as long as everyone, plays. Sorry, Gavin, we went off the point there slightly, but we all said he's going to be a top 5 wide receiver. I remember it that way. Kevin, if Debo gets traded, what do you think of Ayuk next year? Like, I don't need the Debo trade. At least they did a YouTube video. Plugs. I hate plugs. He's a strong buy for me right now where his value is. He was way too high value, and now he's kind of too low valued. Like, he's had 2 really strong seasons. He's young. He probably looks good with his shirt off. I guess he's an NFL player. I don't know why we don't like him like DK Metcalf, but like, he's really good and he's young. So yeah. And as for Kittle, yeah, he's in my top 3 tight ends, and apparently I'm on my own.
Mm-hmm. No, you're good.
No, I'm with you.
Does anyone have an opinion? Because I literally went to naked football players, it making me feel a little weird just letting the silence run in there. What do you think of Ayuk? Debo or no Debo?
Every time Debo has been out, Ayuk has earned targets. Ayuk will probably earn targets if Debo gets traded. I think you're absolutely spot on. And he's a value.
Did it with Debo last year. Like, they found a way to get them both in the offense towards the second half. It felt like to me.
But he was like a very good, like somebody you would plug into your lineup every week when Debo was out. So
for sure.
And so if you're going to trade for Ayuk, do it now, because as soon as Debo goes, Ayuk, the price goes up, I think.
Yeah.
All right. Local liability. So grand scheme was Mooney 110, 204, and 206 for Waddle. He's going back. He's just showing off.
We
his
still like it.
Yeah, we
I don't
get
blame
it.
him.
I would tell everybody. I'd be like, by the way, strange taxi driver. Let me tell you about this. Gavin just got this offer. Devonta Smith for the 107, the 2-1, and Terrence Marshall. Devonta Smith all day.
Do not get Devonta Smith for that.
Yeah. Anyone trying to trade you Terrence Marshall right now? It's like, he's got his head bowed. Like, could you maybe let me out of this one? Don't.
But they could be magic beans.
That's the thing. Like, Terrence Marshall should be a good buy right now, but everyone who drafted Terrence Marshall, like, they're the sort to not give you him his value. They want to get something great, so they're going to tack him on as if he has some value. Like,
like, you can take him out of that trade, and it's still basically the exact same trade.
They're just trying to please make me look smart. I've traded Terrence Marshall for Devonta Smith for next year, so I see no problem in drafting him. Just don't let him out of it. Kittle could
no
drop
bailouts.
big time too. His numbers when Lance would start. Yeah, we have.
But that's a real small sample size too. And
nerd.
Kittle was nicked up. Yeah, what's up? Hashtag maths.
Hashtag the actual engineer in the room. Yeah.
But it was a real Lance didn't start very many games, like 2. So we don't have a big sample size. Kittle was banged up last year. I am more tepid on Lance's throwing ability than a lot of people in this community are, though. Like, it makes me nervous.
Yep. With you.
His legs?
Nice.
Yeah.
But
I mean, when you have that, when you've got a young quarterback who, you're not totally sold on, first of all, I mean, the pre-snap diagnosis, but then, beyond that, the accuracy, further away from the line of scrimmage. I mean, a lot of times the training wheels ends up being your pass catching tight end, especially when you've got a Kittle. So.
Name me one running quarterback that we were worried about their passing, who wears purple, that had a tight end that ended up as a top tier tight end.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah, there are some thoughts, Ridley Truther. I hope some of them are of interest. We just kind of throw spaghetti. Sean. Hi, guys. Thanks for taking the time to do this with us. No problem, man. Thanks for coming in and talking. Because honestly, otherwise we'd just be three weirdos in a room doing this. Landing spot would move Breece Hall out of that presumed 101, 102 spot, depending Superflex. For you, either of them, or another rookie like Malik Willis. If it's a Superflex, I think the quarterback one probably goes first overall. I don't know if I have Breece Hall above Burks. Like, normally I would advocate against, drafting the running back over the wide receiver just because of positional value. But this year, I'm scared. There are too many Burks haters out there, honestly, and they're scaring me. I'm a little skinny nerd. They're mean. But I'm torn on it. I wouldn't say it's locked in, but that's roughly where I am. He would need, I asked Zach this once, and he said he would have to go to Indianapolis.
Yeah.
That's the
Indianapolis, spot. Detroit, Pittsburgh. Those are kind of the spots. Beyond that, I think it depends. There's kind of contingencies. He's got to go to a not great spot. Washington is objectively a bad landing spot for him, and they're actually thinking about doing that. But you still need
in
another
the third round.
Yeah,
I would need that drop.
you need draft capital, and I still think that you probably need a good landing spot for Malik Willis to consider Willis over Hall.
No, we kind of suck at what is and isn't a good landing spot, but yeah, there's just easy bad ones like Indianapolis, somewhere there's already a dominant alpha.
Can we not do Washington though for Hall just because I need J.D. McKissick running back one on a lot of my teams, and that would really hurt.
Yeah, I think the only answer here is the only way Hall moves significantly down a draft board is if he falls by at least a round, probably two, and goes to a really hard to believe in landing spot. There's very little reason that would stop him being the running back one right now.
I have Hall firmly over Burks, firmly over Burks with my film grades. It's not really very close. Yeah, and Burks firmly as the wide receiver one. So take that for whatever you will.
I think that's fair. Yeah, but I think we actually answered this one. That's what we would need to see. A significant draft drop and probably an god-awful landing spot. Not that that's easy to say what that is ahead of time outside of Indianapolis. Gavin, Carter Outlook. Michael Carter can be a running back 1 or 2. I think he's going to be a running back 2, top 24 running back. Those are always overvalued. I'm interested in trading him.
Yeah, and his top 24 is back at 18 to 24. It's not 13. So that, at least for me, that's where I'm at.
Definitely. I like Michael Carter. We talked about him last week. I like the situation. I think it's an offense on the rise. The whole thing, he's got to survive the NFL draft, and that's going to be the tough part. I think they're probably going to bring in someone who takes some work away from him.
I think you're all too positive in general, but also about the Jets, just because we're seeing a lot of improvement in the NFL on certain teams that have been bad. Bills are significantly one of the best teams in the NFL right now, and they were the Jets. I get it. I think the Jets are going to keep jetting. There's improvement, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's Zach Wilson, ultimately. I think Elijah Moore is good. I think there's too much potential positivity for the Jets. I've convinced myself too many times Miami's going to be good. Okay, I'm not going to start doing it with the Jets. So many good players or players that I liked went there and be like, "Ooh, if the team just improves," and they just never fucking do. And I like the player. I liked him as a prospect. I like what he did last year as a rookie. He's got a strong ceiling, and like Zach said, that's a significantly running back too. That's where I'm at. I think he's a good player. And running back twos kind of don't matter. They don't win flex decisions. He just fills that one spot on your roster when you have to start 2 running backs. And that's kind of
And in order for him to have a ceiling, he's going to have to catch a lot more passes. Well, if you're adding Debo or adding whoever it is that they take in the draft, whether it's Drake London or whether it's somebody that can actually play that style of football, we'll Drake London later. But like, you're not going to increase targets to your 4th or 5th option as a running back. Like, you're just not. So his ceiling as a pass catcher seems to be capped because he's not one of the best pass catching options on that team. And like, he's fine. He's good. He's not a bad player, but I
definitely think he's a good player.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna go grab another drink. So hold the fort down for me for a second.
We can do that.
Here's a question to talk about.
I thought you were gonna give it the it's me. It's me.
Dynasty League. Do the big intro. Bring it in big. No, you've been here longer. Honestly, this is your show more than it's my show. I think you should be the one.
No, I'm the guy on the couch. I'm not really here. I occasionally wake up and answer a question. But rank these running backs: Kevin Harris, Snoop Connor, Ty Davis, Price. Yeah, it's Kevin Harris.
Yeah, I like the order that Ricky listed them in right there. I think that's probably right.
It's Kevin Harris. Like, again, once you get to the back end of this is not a good running back class, which inherently makes the back end of this running back class not good.
Right.
Kevin Harris, aside from not having very good vision at all, was fun to watch. Like, Kevin Harris runs like, have you seen I'm sure you have, but Guardians of the Galaxy 2. So Drax, like the opening scene where they're fighting the monster and he's shooting like the rainbow, and Drax is just like takes his swords and runs and jumps and like goes up. Like, that is how Kevin Harris runs. He is running right into the mouth of the beast all the time.
I love that.
But he is like, he's fun. He's got good initial burst. Once he builds up speed, he's fast. He can rip off chunk runs. He breaks tackles. Like, he does a lot of things that I like. But man, does he run into the line of scrimmage, runs into the defense a lot. He's good at identifying where he's supposed to go, and sometimes he's not good at getting there. And so that's but out of these backs, like, he's the one I'm interested in.
Yeah. Any of the other guys interest you at all? Like, do they do anything for you?
Not really.
Like, in a good landing spot.
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of these guys don't even get drafted, right?
Yeah,
most likely.
I would say we're at the back end of the back end here.
Yeah.
So,
Kevin Harris is interesting. Honestly, it is refreshing to see a running back profile that was decent that far down in my model.
That's exactly. You just quoted me, Peter. I was like, but looking at the numbers and looking at my model, Kevin Harris is interesting. And you just came in and said the same thing.
He got over the 20 reception mark that second year. Some people call that Zachary Brawl. So, that's cool. Actually, what I ended it with was, I think he deserves more investigation for sure. Then I did fuck all about that. I've done my job.
Someone get on that. Chop.
Someone call DLF. I have notified them. There are a litany of rookie tight ends going in the late third, fourth. I actually think there are interesting rookie tight ends in this class. It's just, why draft a rookie tight end? Right. Who's your favorite rookie tight end not named McBride? Isaiah Likely, is that his name?
Likely is one. Yep.
I think he's interesting. I think he might be one like 3 I bothered to rank. Yeah, McBride, Likely. I think Windermere came in.
Weidemeyer, yeah.
Charlie Kohler.
Yep, Kohler.
He's interesting too. It's going to be a while. I only have so many actually listed in my ranks, let alone ranked. And you would have to wait around a while to hear me say the name Jaleel Woods. I think that's going to be everyone's darling, and I just combine standout. Meh.
So I'm really curious to hear from Zach on this one because we talked last year about Hunter Long, and I mean basically like here's what here's the framework as I understand it. Tight end 1 is not going to be tight end 1. Like the first tight end drafted isn't going to be the best tight end in the class. So then from there you have to essentially just look for the most athletic guy, right?
And that's the thing. So I would be deferring to Peter or deferring to back when Kyle had his cheat sheet. Like this is the position where I will defer to the numbers, the metrics, because I can look at these guys. A couple of years ago it was Mark Andrews, and I'm like, yeah, I really like Mark Andrews. He's my guy. But more often than not, you look at those players and you're like, you missed. But if you're looking at the numbers, you end up with Kittle. You end up with those, those types of players. And so it's. I mean, I know Peter poo-pooed Jelani Woods, but combine numbers with tight end.
I mean, they matter, but they're normally paired with some decent receiving production. He was kind of meh.
Yeah.
Like Kittle, Kelsey, Graham, Gronk, even those that only played 1 year before going on to be what they at least were above average receiver at the tight end position. It's not a very high bar. Fucking David Njoku got over it consistently. If Jaleel Woods can't David Njoku, I think, But, I mean, he's fine. Jaleel Woods came in... No, actually, he's not. He came in 15th overall in production. That's bad for tight end. They're normally not one or two that I'm interested in. I mean, it's not that it can't happen. The draft's going to depend on a lot for the tight end position. I suppose. Tight end's the one position where draft pick seems to weight more heavily than draft round. Like with quarterback, where it's very area of a round dependent, like the top half of the first round versus the bottom. It's true for tight end as well a little bit. But that's because we've got 4 hits. So it's...
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. I really have to get back to ranking players. I gave up by the time I got to tight end. I burnout. Burnout's the thing we blame for things these days, right? So burnout.
Absolutely.
I'm a bad person. I think he just likes him. You read that. 104 or Godwin in a 1 QB contender.
Godwin.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is tough for a contender because you might be waiting a while on Godwin. But I mean, it's not like you're going to replace that production with 104. That's the thing. Like that rookie wide receiver that you get instead.
But here's the thing. There are going to be 2 players in this class, at least from the wide receiver position, who will. Right. I think your chances of picking the right one at 104 is shit. It's not good. I think
you're not really
looking back. Them. If you make this trade, you're going to look back and you'll be like, "Oh, I could have drafted David Bell," without ever remembering you would never have drafted David Bell.
Right.
With the 104.
Yeah.
Not that it's going to be David Bell, but it's probably going to be David Bell. So yeah, the trade's fair. I just in this draft class, I lean. I'll take the player I know is good. What is up with his injury? When can we expect him back, though?
I mean, it was week 15, something like that. So, I mean, I wouldn't expect to see him. I would imagine he starts on PUP.
Yeah,
I think you see him somewhere around
minimum
midway through the season at the earliest.
Yeah, Godwin's someone I trade. I probably want to trade him away, but yeah. In which case, you should probably just be looking for a different player of the 104. That's probably my answer. I think I take Godwin in this trade, but I'd much rather trade for someone else with the 104. Can I get Devonta Smith? Doesn't have the upside, but he has good upside, and his value's not going to tank, and I get to play him all year. Those 4 players I listed in the video, I'd try for any one of those before Godwin. But yeah, I'd take that trade if you like Godwin. Brandon Ayuk or a 23 first? Ayuk, I think. This is heavily. If your team ultimately stinks, just keep the first, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you can get more than Ayuk for a 23 first right now.
Yeah, it's like the
sense.
Goblin trade. It's not bad, but you'd probably aim for someone else instead.
Yeah.
Like a 23 first is worth more than the 104 right now, right?
Yeah.
It's
Which
pretty
it should
even
be,
enough.
especially in a one quarterback. It should be.
Like no one wants these players, which is actually there's an edge in that, because I think in this type of class you want 4 picks or you want not, or you want a top 3.
Yep.
Yeah. So if your league's selling them off cheap, I mean, go get multiple shots. But anyway, it's even. I probably keep the first in most instances because I think I can get Ayuk for less than that, or I can get more than that for the first.
Yep.
Like tack a second on with Ayuk or something. Joe McCarthy, rank Alberto, Tonyan, Njoku, Hurst, Trautman. Alberto.
Yep. Full stop. Done.
Maybe Tonyan if I want to stack up a depth of tight ends, but ultimately I'm not ranking most of these other players.
Yeah. It's Alberto.
The way he had it listed.
I'm putting you in a timer, John. I'm gonna stop asking you to say things. Like if you don't say things, if I get 5 seconds of silence, we're just moving on.
I mean, just wake me up when we're talking about quarterbacks, and then that's all we need to do.
I only roster quarterbacks. What are these other positions?
It's like I don't even know these names. What is in a joke?
104. No one knows. 104 or Hopkins and a 23 second 1 QB. I mean, no 104.
Hopkins.
Probably.
Really?
We were just talking about this earlier. I don't think he brings the 104 in most leagues, and I probably in the value there. I think Hopkins can definitely produce this year, but I don't think he's ever getting back up here in value if you can get that now.
Man, in a 1 quarterback, that's kind of crazy. I would take Hopkins alone personally, but when you're also getting that second next year in a much better and much deeper class, I'll sign me up.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and again, especially if you're a contender, take those points and run.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Oh, you got to be worried. They did just re-sign AJ Green.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, man, lay off the green. If Pitts
on
Andrews,
420,
Kelsey,
not a chance.
Kittler, Hawkinson, that was a tight end I was struggling to remember, are gone in a 2 tight end league, and you don't have a tight end yet. What's the highest tight end you would take after them? Got it.
Yeah.
Waller.
Yeah.
Oh, Waller's not on the list yet. Got it, and Waller, the next 2, I would say.
Yeah, I think the
right.
What?
Yeah, that seems right. To me, Hunter Henry's kind of in that conversation.
He's in the conversation.
I've
got him tight end 12 right now.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be that touchdown dependent, but is a pretty good red zone threat for Jones. The guy who gets slept on a little bit is Schultz, who again had 100+ targets last year.
Yeah.
Don't okay me. It's a 2 tight end league. Guy got 100 targets.
No, how many tight ends on this?
How many tight ends got 100 targets last year? You're looking at them right there. Up. There were 7, Peter.
The thing is, this next tier of tight ends is big. I don't think
if I miss out on that tier, I don't go Schultz. I just wait and I take Ingram, and then I take some other deep tight end, and I crate 5.
Yeah, wait a little bit longer. You're still going to get. I mean, Freiermuth, like you said earlier, he's still going to be there.
Yeah.
You don't want to take a player at the top of a tier, anyways. So, but especially when the tier is this big.
Yeah.
Don't be the first one to take a tight end from it.
Well, and that's a play where if it's a 2 tight end league, and I mean that's one where you could take 3 or 4 back end tight ends and just play matchups.
Oh yeah,
whatever.
for sure.
Tight ends with over 100 targets last year: Mike Andrews, Travis Kelce, Dalton Schultz, Zach Ertz, Kyle Pitts, Mike Gesicki. There you go. Mike Gesicki's missing too.
So there were 6 of them.
Yeah, and miss me was Schultz. So,
Schultz got 100 targets. Like, what do you want?
I want what I can trade him for. Rob, 10-team half-point PPR Superflex. Fournette for the 2022 2.04, 2.07. This is I'm struggle busing this one. Current running backs: Devonta, Etienne, Fournette. It's good running backs. And then stuff. Miles Sanders is below Marlon Mack in this list. Just want to point that out to everyone.
Maybe it's alphabetical.
I was going to stop reading, and then I was like, wait, Sanders. Siding with Fournette, but just wanted to double check what to do with this. So it's Fournette for the 204 and the 207. Yeah, I want Fournette.
Yeah, you look competitive. Yeah. Keep Fournette.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. 109 and Van Jefferson, or Juju and the Juju.
The answer is not Van Jefferson.
Like any side with Van Jefferson on, I'm immediately on the other side. Well, not. Yeah, immediately on the other side. No, he's not that bad. But yeah, Juju. Pretty easy for me. I think Tonyan can return to fantasy viability this season unless the Packers add significant wide receiver talent. At least he's done it before. I get it.
Yeah.
It's too much like a vacated target.
But he's not even a target guy. I mean, it's going to have to be touchdowns again. Guy. That's what he did the year that he was good, was touchdowns. It was Gary Barnidge, baby.
There you go. I believe in vacated touchdowns.
They're just laying around in the end zone.
They're just laying around. Someone has to pick them up, and that's what you get. Michael Hogan, 1 QB league rebuild. What would you do with a 2022 109 and 110? I have the 101 already for Breece Hall, so he's got it all mapped out. Honestly, I mean, I don't know how to answer this question. Pick players that you like there.
Yeah. I might
that
trade.
Would be my plan.
Yeah. I might actually move 101. Like Breece Hall doesn't necessarily, belong on a rebuild. So, I mean, especially
is it going to be easier to trade the 101 for more, or Breece Hall like in season to a contender if he's scoring well? That's my only question. Because I agree with you in general, but
I think 101 is worth the most before the NFL draft and I mean, like you're kind of gambling at that point, that Breece Hall ends up in a spot where they're gonna, they're gonna take the leash off him right away and let him inflate that value in season. It's risky. So I would just do it now personally.
Yeah, I would shop it. What will you need to get back for it, though? Obviously, you need a 2023 first, at least.
Yeah.
What else are you looking to get back for it? 2?
I mean, I think 3? You can probably get a young like wide receiver 1 type of guy, like T. Higgins, and a 2023 first. I think you get that pretty easily. That's kind of like the bare minimum.
Could you get Waddle? That would be the guy in that kind of value tier that I would try for. Waddle and a 23 first, sure.
Yeah,
I'd be interested in shopping the 9 and the 10 for like Devonta Smith. If you add a player to one of those picks, could you get? But ultimately, if you're building, I think trading the 101 makes more sense. Yeah, that's probably an easy way to go to trade, because you get a pick for the future and a good player. Like a really good youngish player. I think that'd be good.
How high up do you think you could get pairing the 109 and 110? What pick do you think you get in a 1 quarterback league?
I don't know.
Probably only a couple spots, but that might be worth trying too. Like if you can get up to like 105, 106.
That would be a way of taking advantage of everyone's dislike of this class, to be fair. Yeah, that's a good plan. So is that what you're trying to trade?
No, it's just a question, but that's how I would be approaching it, because I like Breece Hall. Like I would be taking Breece Hall. I think, especially after we see landing spot, after we see him not land behind Jonathan Taylor, in Indianapolis, then we can have
What
the
could,
Brees
if
Hall.
you're like full rebuild, what would someone need to offer you for the 101 for you to move it though? There's nothing.
I'd probably want one of those next 2 picks and a 23 first.
Okay.
And I would do that. Like, I'd be real happy with that. So I could go get Burks or Wilson and then a 23 first, and I'd be happy about that.
That's a good move too. Yeah, just move back a spot or two. There's kind of value in having 109 and 110 and just keeping them making the picks. You know, take a couple wide receivers for
that's
a rebuild.
where, like you said, to trade the 101. Zach's saying to try and trade those 2 picks up into the top 3. And I was like, I'm probably just going to draft players.
Yeah,
I'm much more passive when it comes. If someone comes with a great trade, great, but that would probably be my plan at this point.
The other thing I might do too is when it gets to the 109 and 110, I can look and see if there are 4 or 5 players that I like, and then trade back the number of spots, and so I don't have to make a decision. I gain value. Like, you get something else with that. You still get a player you like, and call it good. I do that a lot in drafts where, like, if I have a tier and I don't care, like I don't feel strongly about a player in that tier, I'll trade back to the end of where I think that tier is. Mm-hmm. Let other people pick in front of me. If not everybody in that tier goes, then I'm maybe whatever I got moving back, I try to trade back up into the next spot, you know. So I'll maneuver that way. I've done that a couple times in this draft that I'm in right now.
Yeah.
I think all 3 of those plans they just came up with there, Michael, are viable. I don't mind any of them. I'm much more of the passive. I'm going to draft good players if you guys don't want to come send me trade offers. So I suck at trading, and I'm okay at drafting. So beyond that, it's what do you think's more likely in your league, dude? Like, is there a lot of trades around the draft? Is someone really willing to come up and get a top 12 running back in their rookie season? They should be. And if they are, I might start there because that's the thing you could do now. But if you don't get the value, or you just default to one of the other plans, because I don't think there's something you definitely have to do. One of those is the right way. I would feel out which is the best way in your league.
Yeah. Yes.
QBX.
Throw up the X.
Do it. There we go.
Nice.
Now we're winning. Joe's talking to Michael, so we're moving on. Rob, what makes Burks your wide receiver 1 over London? London's not.
4 other guys.
Yeah, London ranks. I liked London a lot when I reviewed his statistics. He has worse statistics than 5 other players in this class. That's why it's not like I'm moving Burks over him. He's significantly below Burks in terms of how well he compares to past players. That doesn't mean he's less likely to break out. He's in a really solid tier 2. He could be great, but his stats in no way.
This is what I love.
I hate these questions because they assume you're doing something, and when it's like a little gaslighty, because they're doing something and they're asking you why you're not doing it, and it's like because that's.
By the way, this is just like such a beautiful moment right now because there's like a Venn diagram, right? There's analytics, there's film, there's narrative, and they all 3 overlap at Drake freaking London. Like
weirdly,
like none of us like him, and all for different reasons.
I like him. His stats are good. They're above average. I think he was a really above average college player. Has a good chance to succeed in the NFL. His stats are not significantly above that average in the way that Burks is. In fact, they're comparable to Olave, Wilson, and David Bell, honestly, and George Pickens. So I have him in a tier 2 with those guys. Then when you go talk to tape guys, they're like, well, Drake London succeeds in a very particular way that is particularly difficult to exceed at in the NFL level. So that seems to confirm the idea that he's in this tier and there's more risk because he's a contested catch guy and he's about to go into the world of athletic monsters and freaks who've been batting away contested catch guys literally the whole career, and this is the best of the best. And that's why he ranks lower. Anyone putting him at 1 is just he has a good chance at hitting. If he hits, putting him at 1 is just trying to take a stance on a player you like. There's no reasonable reason to think he's the more likely to succeed or any such BS. That's just nonsense.
That little parentheses, Rob, is exactly what I'm afraid of. Is dude's a physical beast. Yeah, but how many guys in the NFL succeed being physical as a contested catch physical player, and how many Auden Tates, N'Keal Harris, Hakeem Butlers, Laquan Treadwell, I dyslexic that for a minute, Josh Doxson, how many
Mike
guys?
Williams, who succeeded, by the way. That's
Mike. Yeah,
Mike Williams is good and physically.
But there are like it's Mike Williams, Mike Evans.
Like kind of Mike.
Yeah,
Williams.
it's not that he can't do it. I think he did enough in college to suggest that he might well be able to elevate. But then when you take the fact that his stats weren't significant, they were significantly over the average for players that go on to do well. But there are 4 other players that did about as well, and then one who significantly beat that, which is Burks. And then you're like, that's why. That's why. I know I get frustrated, and it's not you, Rob. It's because like I see it a lot, and it's like I get it. He could definitely be the one to hit from this class, but there's no reasonable reason to suggest that he's clearly the one. Like he's clearly in a very tight tier of players who could end up being the one. And then when you go look at the people or listen to the people who actually evaluate the way he plays the game, you hear stuff like this. You've got Scott Barrett out there who's actually got statistics on this stuff and says he ranks top 3 all time, and the top 50 on that list have all busted. And the other one's Mike Evans. Like that's all concerning. And so, and then if you just very stupid boy analytics like I do, like he's good. He's not great. Like it's not Calvin Johnson statistics. It's fucking George Pickens statistics. That's how impressive he was. It's George Pickens, David Bell. Like that's how impressive he was compared to past prospects who have gone on to do well. That's where he's at. And everything else that I hear about is actually how difficult it is to elevate his particular type of game to the NFL. And the physical beast stuff, none of that helps you out figure out if he's going to do it, because like Zach was just saying, many physical beasts have failed to do it in the NFL level, even with good production, like Mike Williams.
How come you don't want to bring up Arcega-Whiteside? I hear you just moving around, trying not to bring him back up.
Well, Arcega-Whiteside didn't profile as well as London did,
I know,
to be honest.
No, he did.
Like London's better than Whiteside.
But that's why I have London at 5 or 6. Which is good. Like,
I really like him.
It's not bad, but everyone, and I said this to John the other day when I was on his show, is so many people keep asking me this question. Why are you so low on London? And I'm like, I'm not. Like he's
I'm not even. That's why it's particular. Like I'm not high or low on anyone. I measure how well they compare. That's it. I'm not telling you. And when he does this with his hands, I don't fucking know. I can't play wide receiver in the NFL. I'm literally just telling you how well it compares to past players that have gone on to do well, and it's pretty good. Burks is slightly better, and there are about 4 other players that are about as and significantly good. Like I know I've said it like 4 times now. I feel like I'm just berating poor Rob, and it's really not you, Rob. This is fine. But it is a frustrating question this year. It's the first question I got on my rookie ranks. Why am I so low in London? I was like, oh man, I thought I was going to go fight Zach about how high I was on him. No, apparently, if you don't have him 1, you're low on him. I'm like, he could easily. He's very good. He's very good. Local liability. Thoughts on another league's trade? Help. Thoughts on another league's trade? 1 QB. Sent 1, 2, and a 23 first. McLaurin and Knox for the 101. 23 second. Zach Wilson. Chuck. This is a big trade. Akers and Logan Thomas.
In a quarterback, I want the first side, I think I want the
many firsts in this trade. There's a 101 on one side, and then there's a 102 on the other side.
Yep. I think I want the 102, the 23 first, McLaurin and Knox.
23 first is a difference, right?
Well, Zach Wilson doesn't matter. Chark doesn't matter. Logan Thomas doesn't matter.
Zach
Akers
Wilson is 1 QB.
Matters.
I mean, but Akers you can trade. Like Akers has trade value.
Yeah, but I would say you could basically say Akers for McLaurin. I think that's pretty That's pretty fair straight across.
Yeah, this is a 102 and a future first and McLaurin for Akers and the 101 and a second next year.
Yeah, I would rather have the first side of that. I would rather have the 102, 23 first McLaurin and Knox. But
agreed.
Especially in a one quarterback, because I don't think Zach Wilson cracks your lineup in a one quarterback league. And if he does, I don't know what you've done. I'm sorry, local. Is that a family name? I like that.
Sorry, that took forever
Dutch?
to get through my head. Yeah, I think it's just 23 first, though. Especially in a 10 team, actually, that makes an asset.
Yeah.
Yeah, that even reduces the value of McLaurin a little bit. So. Yeah. Thoughts on Jalen Talbot? Bo Melton. Recognize the name slightly.
Good route runner, good post catch, makes defenders miss. I like the way he makes plays in traffic. I think he can play through contact. Quick transition post catch, wouldn't you say, Peter? I think
no idea.
And he's a real good deep ball tracker. I think he creates, though, a lot of his own trouble. He rounds routes way too close to defenders, which kind of closes the gap on separation. And I think he's really inconsistent both on his release from the line of scrimmage and in route. So, like, every now and then you'll see him, come off the line of scrimmage, beat press, and have a great route. The next time you're trying to figure out what the heck he was doing. And I don't think he's great against press. He's got one move, and it's a hesitation. I didn't love him. I didn't have him nearly as highly ranked as DLF did when they started off the season, and he is somewhere around like wide receiver 15 in this class for me. And I don't have any thoughts on Bo Melton. He'll be a Patriot, though, because that's where all the guys from Rutgers go.
Yeah, I got him ranked 12th, which it means nothing for rookie QB class, but I liked him. I put him in a tier I'm calling Flyer. It's interesting you kind of describe him as, if I'm hearing you right, as like a one-trick pony. That's a concern considering where he's coming from, but he ranked 19th when you compare him to past prospects in the model I was just talking about. But what I noticed when I was looking over the profiles, one of the reasons the model doesn't like him is because he played late. He started playing late, though, and it's something I call the Calvin Ridley rule. It doesn't matter if you start playing late. It matters how well you play compared to your competition at that age. And he was good. Compared to other players that start playing at 20, he was above the age curve most years. So I just said Calvin Ridley rule gives and it takes away, I guess. 23-year-old prospect, only played 3 years, started his college career at 20. That hurts his breakout age, obviously. 27, 39, 40% market share of yards, which is above the average the last 2 years there, adjusted for the ages he was actually playing in. And so I actually bumped him up over what the model said because I think it's pushing him down a little bit. Still puts him in just like, he's a flyer, good landing spot somewhere in the first 4 rounds. I think he can make some noise, but I'm a little less interested considering the way you just described him, Zach. But I thought his production looked a little low just because he started playing late, so I moved him up a bit. I don't know anything about the other guy.
Rutgers, 5-year, 5th-year guy. He'll end up. The Patriots love those Rutgers Scarlet Knights. So.
Andrew Carson, 102 and the 101 in a 12-person PPR 1 QB league. Wait. What do you have to add to the 102 to get to the 101? I think that's the question here.
I would sell 101 for 102 and a 23 first. I don't think I would make that move though. Like if I have to trade up to 101, I don't think I would.
I don't think it's necessarily worth doing either.
Yeah.
Like I think
like it would be Burks to Hall for you, I'm assuming.
Yeah, in a one. Well, no, I have Hall. So it'd be Hall to Burks, or I guess if you're trading up, yeah, it would be Burks to Hall. But I don't think in a one quarterback league, like whatever. You're not trading up to get a quarterback. You're getting either the best running back or the best wide receiver there. Okay.
Tell you what, I'm a little more nervous on Burks and all these wide receivers because there's such incongruent, because there's such noise about Drake London, who I thought I liked. I do. Because when that stuff tends to happen, it's when N'Keal Harry happens. It's when Corey Davis happens. When there's a very clear one to me and everyone's got a different one, I start to doubt, it's just a stupid little model that I create. I could be wrong. And then I'm like, therefore, I want the running back a little harder. You know what I mean?
I mean,
I'm much more certain Burks does something for us than any of these wide receivers at this point.
You mean Hall?
Sorry, Hall.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather have Hall, but I'm not giving up a lot to go up and get him. No, I don't know. I'd be a lot more inclined to trade down to the 103 than I would to try to trade up to the 102.
That's fair.
Just because it's on brand. I did the 103 is the magic number.
If the Jaguars draft a wide receiver, why would they do that to that poor wide receiver? At pick 33, what do you think would be the best fit? Pickens,
Justin
Moore.
Ross.
Actually, not terrible. It's a man that has to create his own yards right there. They probably need to. I don't know. We're not going to ask a Trevor Lawrence question right now. I guess the team's improved after jettisoning about 200 pounds of shit at the top there. So that's good.
The best,
I don't know what the Jaguars need. It's probably not a wide receiver.
It's offensive line.
Yeah. And this is a draft to do it.
Skill positions at this point.
But out of the options we got, like Skye Moore, if you have a rookie quarterback who is struggling, the best course of action is to try to get the ball out of his hands quickly, especially if you got a bad offensive line. And that is Skye Moore. I mean, it was what we wanted last year for Tua. So the first year of Tua, terrible offensive line, trying to get the ball out quick. Jalen Waddle's there running little quick slants. That's exactly what Skye Moore specializes in, out of the slot, getting open quickly. That's the type of player that I would like to have for Trevor Lawrence.
That's fair. Skye Moore, you could almost say that about someone like Skye Moore about anywhere. Like, he can help out any QB with his skill set. If he can excel with it the way he did in college in the NFL, he's going to help out any offense. Just clear up the middle area of the field.
And he's probably the best, not even probably, he's the best pure slot receiver in this class, I think. And I don't love Skye Moore, but I there is value to what he can do, especially for an NFL team.
Yeah, I didn't mind a Skye Moore pick. I'm going to say that one.
Yep.
John Bosch says that Dynasty Outhouse looks different. He does. He's changed his hair, doing some different things with his background. Bob Gilchrist, late to the conversation, but picking, and I agree with Peter. I like Bell too. Those are two of my three favorite values in the draft.
What do
Is
you mean
he
late
saying
to the
Pickens
conversation?
to the Jaguars?
I don't know. He's early to the conversation. He was
As
like half an hour before here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I like Pickens a lot. I have him at the top of that big tier 2 I've got just because no one seems to mention him. Like, he did pretty much the same thing. I like that. Yeah, who doesn't like Bell at this point? Yeah, sorry, random thought. Oh, he also sounds different. I can't explain that. Maybe he's got a new mic. 14-team league, 101 and 112. For Devonta Smith, yes. Oh, you get Jarvis Landry thrown in too. That's cool. That's neat.
Yep, Devonta Smith.
All right. I've cut you down to 2 seconds of silence. I don't know if you noticed that, new Russ. Michael, it seems like Jameson Williams would be the clear wide receiver 1 if he didn't tear his ACL. I think if he did it for one more year, if he was on that team for one extra year, I'd probably be heavily arguing for it. Because again, he would his that 1 year of production already puts him in that tier 2. I'm just concerned about his ACL and his draft capital, so I moved him down to a questionable draft capital tier in tier 3. And if he'd done that twice, yeah, he'd look like Pickens and everyone else. In fact, if he'd increased his ability to do that, he'd probably jump up there with Burks. And I'm saying that mostly because Jake really seems to like him, and I want to agree with Jake for once in my life.
I'll be honest. I do not, Michael, take into account injury until after the draft because the
Draft kind of
NFL
tells you that.
Yeah, the NFL has the medicals. The NFL will if they're worried about his injury, he will fall. It does not sound like he's going to fall. All of the buzz sounds like Jameson Williams is going to be a solid first round pick, and you know there are 5 or 6 or 7 teams that are hard in on Williams. So when I did my film grades, that does not fall into account. So he's like he and Drake London graded out like the same. So they're like 5-6. Pick them. If Jameson Williams goes in the first, he'll probably be the guy that I take over London.
I've got him. Yeah, it's him and Justin Ross are both in that what's the NFL going to think tier. And they could easily jump up with the other guys or fall back down if the NFL's like, nah. It's okay just to admit that 1, opportunity matters, and draft capital is a path to that. And 2, per team, they literally spend millions of dollars doing this. I don't think I'm going to beat them very regularly in my basement. So it's okay to just borrow that research with their draft capital, you know? That's how I feel about it. Gavin, out of these running backs in a 12-team league, should I trade any of them? Swift, CMC, Barkley, Carter, Rondell. I'm
CMC,
in
trade
trading.
CMC.
We're just gonna do it. I just do it. Yeah. I'm really interested in trading Swift. I need full value, but I don't think he has the upside of CMC and Barkley. Healthy CMC, John. Healthy CMC
Doesn't exist. I'll meet.
Back to the corner you go. No. Yeah, I think Swift has CMC value without the injury concern that your trade partner is going to have with CMC, and so I think you get full value for Swift.
Yeah, but then you don't have.
You don't have to trade him, but that's the one that I think you're more likely to get the value that you need out of one of these guys to trade him. That's
the biggest return. The biggest net return is going to be on McCaffrey because you don't get nearly as many games out of him. Like that's, Swift can actually stay season, at least in theory.
I think one thing we can agree on is don't trade Barkley. Just keep Barkley.
Yes.
CMC is a bit of an issue, but honestly, I think most people are. This is what goes back to what I was saying earlier to you, Zach, where you can't pitch in a trade. You can't offer CMC and be like, you've got to remember he has top 5 up, because the minute you do that, it's
right.
Don't tell me about Dynasty. So you can't sell him. And you can't expect that value if you're sending a CMC trade. Swift, you should be able to expect, hey, here's a player worth 3 first-round picks. Like, that's a trade that you can get done. You try and send CMC for that value, and they're like, nah, he's injured all the time. I heard John Hogue on the Super Flex Super Show. You know what I mean?
There are a lot more people listening to Peter Howard say Christian McCaffrey still has more upside than anyone on earth. So,
I don't think so.
But I mean, it just means that if you're not getting that top 5, you know, that implied top 5 return on McCaffrey from one person, try to send him to someone else.
Here's the thing, though. Even with your team, these are good running backs. You're good. So you don't have to trade any of them. If I was going to trade any of them, it would be value concern, because Dynasty, you're always trying to add value, and therefore I lean Swift. But like, I don't know who I would say to trade for, because you've already got CMC, who I like. You've already got Barkley, who everyone here likes. Like, I guess Najee Harris plus a first is the only thing I could think of, and you're probably not getting that. But anyway, Zach, do you have any of them? Carter, if I could trade Carter anything for anything like a first, I'd do it.
Yeah.
Zach's nodding.
I mean,
he gets the full 5 seconds of silence because he's a vet. Sean, should I trade Mixon and Hopkins for JT? Yes,
I would. Yes.
Yep. Is that a thing that can happen? Like, why am I talking down here
Probably.
bottom of the barrel trades when you can just do stuff like that? Do stuff like that. Is Juwan Jennings a good pickup?
How deep is your bench?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably not. Rob, all good, my dudes. I'm glad you didn't take that badly. Yeah. We have the best audience. I should have been cancelled years ago. I also have Burks as my highest wide receiver for this draft. But just like you mentioned, lots of narrative. Yeah, and here's the thing. Like, I think you can. I think whoever has London as a wide receiver 1 should. Like, if you like him more than everyone else, this is a class, man. Just take the guy you like. But as a non-evaluator of how good players are, it's a confusing question. I do some evaluation. Spaghetti and a spoon, or spaghetti
Soup.
and a spoon, soup and a fork.
Soup and a fork, because I'm a lot more confident in being able to drink out of a bowl than I am to put my face in a plate of spaghetti.
That is a good answer.
I got you, Joe. I got you.
I kind of hate spaghetti. Is that an okay thing to say?
That's
I know
fair,
strong food takes that mediocre. Like, I just don't like it. It's not because it tastes bad, or it's not like I don't find the taste worth the effort.
It's not like your stew
But
version,
soup
is
can
it?
be. I've eaten some great soups.
See,
So yeah, I think I'd take on the soup.
I'm the opposite. I think soup is like, there's just diminishing returns on soup after the first bite. It's just the first spoonful. It's just like, all right, so now it's just this same liquid over and over till it's gone.
You gotta get some better soup, Hogue. You gotta come out.
That changing. As we know, steak, spaghetti, all those flavors change as you eat them. So unlike that, soup remains the same throughout.
There's something you can at least do about each one. Like,
I think
now let's try ketchup.
We just got a new pho place in town, and so you got to come out and have some pho, some Vietnamese, and that's the way to go.
Actually,
There's some steak in it. We got a little pork belly in it. It's nice. Multiple flavors, not just a one and go. Although I will tell you, it's harder with all of that stuff in it, with the bowl, not to just end up with it all over me.
John wrote me to say this is a CMC side. Agree, John? Cool. Okay, moving on. John, you know you have the power to unmute yourself, right? I don't think you know you have that power. You do. There's a little button down there. You can unmute yourself anytime.
It's symbolic. I realize that.
It's purely a joke. Yeah, even I would say Saquon. I think both have. I think CMC has more upside, but the difference between their upsides is like fucking 11. So,
I mean, I would. Here's what I will say though. Like, I will get on your side on this just a little bit. I don't know that you should have to add to CMC to get Barkley right now.
And I would take CMC straight up. Yeah.
Over Barkley.
Yeah. It's rough, man. But yeah, I get it. But yeah. That's why I don't trade running backs, man. Sammy Watkins trade value.
Does your league have like redraft week to week, so you could give like the week 102
after you get that week 1 performance? Did I see he's rostered by Green Bay right now? Was that a misprint? No, he's on the Green Bay Packers right now. That week 1's going to be awesome. No joke. No, I was looking for a late pick in a best ball draft, and Sammy Watkins' name came up, and I was like, Green Bay, sure, click, because I'm gonna get one. No, and I don't think he has dynasty value. Is ultimately what I'm saying, though. Like we were questioning if DeAndre Hopkins does have much, and so that probably tells you where we're at. I think
like a third round.
He is someone I'll stash on the end of my bench over someone like Juwan Jennings. It's not like I don't like rostering deep unknown players, but that really depends on the depth of my league. Whereas a name player is a name player. He can pop up for a week here and there, be a flex option. That's my preferred depth. That's where Team Old Guy comes back into play, I guess.
Well, and you've seen Sammy Watkins be good occasionally.
Yeah,
before.
that's kind of what I mean. That's what I look for in my depth players these days. So yeah, he's worth a roster spot, which is not nothing. That's not meant to be shade like some aren't, despite being good. BJ Lee, I have the 103 and a 1 QB. One of my rebuilds, all of my leagues are I was looking at it the other day. Pretty much all my teams are rebuilds at this point.
Mute me.
Oh no, never again. One of the rebuilders in my league has 102 and 105. Going to try to trade the 103 for CMC. No. Oh, you're saying they're in a rebuild?
Yeah.
I mean, would you not do that though, John? You're getting a wide receiver at 103, right? And I know you love the T of a running back, even if it is CMC.
I mean, yeah, I guess I still would. I mean,
but you would rather trade the 103 for a future first, is what I'm guessing.
Well, for the contender on this, trying to get Christian McCaffrey, I mean, yeah. I feel like you can probably get a safer running back, maybe not quite as much upside, but somebody who's a little bit more likely to be there for you all season for 103. That's my guess.
I love the narrative. I love it. I am going to do that. I'd trade the 103 to get McCaffrey.
Thank you, Zach.
I even think I even think the value may be on your side, because I think you may be able to get a better player than, or I say better, a more highly regarded player than Burks or Wilson or whoever you're going to get at 103 for McCaffrey. So, like, I think you actually make out on that trade regardless.
Mm-hmm.
So, what up, party people? Happy 420. Oh God, it is, isn't it? Yeah, I didn't even know. Yeah, thanks, bud. If Deebo Samuels is traded, if Deebo Samuels is traded away, how does that affect Elijah Mitchell's value?
Well, because Deebo got carries last year, Peter. A lot of carries.
Let's
like, I went from the start of this offseason trying to defend not having Elijah Mitchell in the top 12 because it was obvious, to now defending that maybe he is valuable. like I'm getting it coming and going this offseason with Elijah Mitchell. I mean, I don't think it affects him.
So vacated carries are a thing, or do we get
no, exactly not.
I mean, either way, like, it sounds like part of Deebo's problem is running the football. Like, he wants to actually line up on the outside and play wide receiver. Like,
that's actually the part that concerns me, because that was one of the ways he was scoring points last year. He can score plenty of points as a wide receiver. I'm not too concerned, but like, that was a big help last year for us.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, so if he doesn't get traded, it's because they smooth things over and tell him, all right, we'll stop handing off to you. You know,
exactly. Yeah.
And so either way, you're kind of, you're getting Deebo out of the way a little bit in that backfield.
But Deebo's carries, though, I think are overblown.
Yeah.
Because he had 18 more carries last year than Trey Sermon. So, like, let's not get carried away. Like, he did score an inordinate number of touchdowns. Like, he had 8 touchdowns rushing. But, like, the carries he did not take carries away from Elijah Mitchell. So let's not get the real thing that you need to be worried about with Elijah Mitchell is if Trey Lance becomes the quarterback, because there are going to be a significant number of carries go to Trey Lance.
Mm-hmm.
That's honestly the part that concerns. I don't know what this offense is with Trey Lance.
Absolutely. Yep.
I mean, Deebo Samuel had 59 carries last year. Jimmy Garoppolo had 38. I mean, it's not, obviously those aren't carries that the running back or wide receiver are going to get if the quarterback's running. But yeah, Lance is going to easily double both of them, probably in carries. And Elijah Mitchell still had, like Jeff Wilson had 79 last offseason. Elijah Mitchell still had 207. This offense runs, man. I think he's solid. It's fine. There or not there, but I guess you don't have to be concerned about it if one of those guys getting 50 carries isn't there. But again, it just gets added back on with Lance. But I think he's fine.
But I mean, like, Lance had 38 carries in 2 starts.
Yeah.
So
again, and a lot of those were designed runs, which Garoppolo didn't have.
So that's going to be like, that is going to be the issue with Mitchell and with that team, both the passing game and the running game. I mean, it's why I'm more tepid on Dobbins than a lot of people are, because if you have a running quarterback and your quarterback is your running back one, is the guy getting the most carries in the backfield, it necessitates that your running backs aren't getting the carries. They have to be super efficient. Dobbins was a couple years ago, but what?
We used to have this conversation, or I used to this was before anyone would talk to me about fantasy football, actually, but I remember Matthew Berry discussing Alfred Morris and Robert Griffin III and whether that would help or hinder, and he would always make the argument that a running quarterback can actually help the running back because there's more threats in the backfield. I mean, it depends how the offense works, and I think that's a question of the 49ers. I think Elijah Mitchell can get the same number of carries. I think he's because I think this offense wants to run, and it wants to run with multiple players, and that's fine. So if it's not Debo, it's going to be Lance. So either way, we have to feel confident in that. And right now, Elijah Mitchell's day is really tanked. Seems undernoted, because I seem to remember a time like I was getting told I was wrong for not having Elijah Mitchell like deep in my top 12 running backs in Dynasty, and throughout the offseason, he's just fallen outside of that with little note, and like I think he could easily do that again. Is Kenneth Walker likely to be a better 102 than any wide receiver? I do have 106 and could get a wide receiver there. Depends how good.
Define likely. Yeah, depends on where he lands.
I think, if we just say things that are good happen in the draft, assume what we think is going to happen. I think Kenneth Walker is really likely to be a good running back in the NFL. I think he's less likely to be a top 36 flex play, which is like the top 12 running backs, like significant top 12 running back plays, just because I have concerns about I do have concern about how much he's going to catch the ball in the NFL, which means that the wide receiver broadly would be the better pick for fantasy. But I also think running backs are much more likely, if they get draft capital, to actually elevate to the NFL level, because that's what they need. If they're good in college, they go to a team with decent draft capital, team goes, here you go, run the ball. So, I mean, there's a little plus and minus there. We really have to see the draft to answer it in full.
I don't know. I got this right here that says Kenneth Walker is LaDainian Tomlinson, signed Peter Howard.
There you go.
Oh.
I thought you'd like that one. Everyone go look at the follow-up tweet to that one. I'm just saying.
Only read the headline.
Exactly. No, I think Walker's good.
He is, and he may be a better play than the wide receivers, but right now we don't know he ends up again. If he ends up in Seattle, if he ends up in a place where they're going to run, and he's going to be the focal point of a.
So you don't even have to worry about the catches.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. The problem is it's a little bit more of a needle thread with him than Breece Hall, like as far as the landing spot goes. And, like he's being mocked to Denver, for instance, where that's somewhere where I feel like Breece Hall probably commands some volume. I don't think Kenneth Walker necessarily does.
Yeah.
Just in general, assuming good things in the draft between Hall, Walker, and your wide receiver one, because that would be your options. So wide receiver one or Kenneth Walker.
So
I think the floor is much more. Yeah, sure. I think the floor is much more likely for Walker, but I think if you're looking for fantasy ceiling, it goes with the wide receiver almost every time. But they also miss more regularly, especially if they're being drafted that highly in rookie drafts and in the NFL. So that's the best I can come out with in likelihood. I know I'm going to go ahead and guess here that you want to take Walker, though, just the way you worded in the question. I could be wrong. I'm like, I don't think that's a terrible plan. Like,
no, not at
wait
all.
for the draft. But Walker's solid. He's really coming in as a solid player. So I don't hate it. You don't have to convince yourself if you just like a player. Like, it's okay. There's nothing crazy on his profile that suggests he can't even run in the NFL. I think he's probably going to be a pretty good runner. I'm going to have the best week one performance with CMC, Saquon, and Sammy Watkins. Honestly, yeah. Then trade. But no, not really. But yeah, honestly. Why not? I don't think CMC is destined to play half a season. I'm just saying. Paul Cicero. I was offered Amari Cooper, Kenneth Walker.
You won't even give him half the season?
No,
you
I'm
think
saying
he's gonna
I
miss the
will
whole
give him the
season?
full season. I think he's going to play the whole season. Screw you.
Guys, hold on. Paul, accept that. You want Amari Cooper and Kenneth Walker over Akers and Chenault. Do that now while they argue.
Do that right now.
We need to get we need to get to that though, so he
We
can
should
win that
should have
twice.
gotten here quicker. I'm sorry, Paul.
Yeah. Yeah, you win that one twice.
Send out the bat signal or something next time you have a trade like that. And I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
And I guess Kenneth Walker, why not? Joe Herbert, I think the high rate of carries that Lance had as a starter was partly to make Lance more comfortable. I expect that rate to diminish. And I literally don't even he played so little in the NFL. I'm talking about him as we expect him from just the way he plays the game in college into the NFL. I think that's why the team drafted him to play more of a rushing quarterback.
Yeah.
So yeah, the high rate probably could come down a little bit, but he's still going to be more Lamar Jackson than Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, eventually you want to transition them into a pocket passer. That's true of pretty much every quarterback, but it usually takes several years. I mean, we got quite a bit of rushing upside from Russell Wilson for the first 5 years of his career before he finally started just kind of standing in the pocket and then, using the legs just to extend plays.
I don't know, Russell Wilson ever just stands in the pocket. He always looks like he's dodging players, even, just for...
well, yeah. The offensive line plays. Offensive line factors in as well. That's for sure.
He's just impressive at it as well, to be fair. But yeah. I don't think you're ever going to... I mean, has Josh Allen transitioned to being a pocket passer? They're more rushers than they are pocket passes. He more of it, sure, but you never become a pocket passer. You just gradually.
Yeah, but also using Josh Allen as the example rather than
that's the level
exception,
of advancement we would need.
That's the exception to the rule,
and that's my concern with Lance. Yeah. One of them. Is Deontay Johnson worth a 106? Yes.
Yeah. Easily.
3 seconds. Moving on. Yeah, very, 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 very easily for me. Personally.
One quarterback, I think he's worth 101.
And again, this goes to if you get one of those two wide receivers who are going to hit, this is going to feel like a stone cold win if you got the 106. Your chances of hitting the right player on that 106 is not great. It's not as good as knowing Deontay Johnson's pretty good that way. Yeah. But so for me, Deontay Johnson's worth more. So he's got a question mark here. What do you have to add to the 106 to get Deontay Johnson then? What would make it even for you? Sorry, I missed that part.
102.
Oh.
It would take a lot, yeah.
It would take another first for me. The 102 is high. I don't hate it, but that would definitely make it an even trade. Yeah. I think anywhere, just another first in that range, 104, 105, or just a 23 first, and we're good. Rebuilding team, 10-team Superflex, half-point PPR. QB1 is Lamar Jackson. Nice. Would you hold him since he's only 25, or look to shop him for multiple picks players? He's in a tier where you don't trade him just to trade him. I don't have any questions about Lamar Jackson. I'm good. If my team sucks and I need much more than I can possibly hope to pick up in a single rookie draft, i.e. building, and you did say your team's rebuilding, then typically you're always shopping the good players you have to see if you can add value, which isn't just picks, but it's to fulfill more needs and have more tradable assets on your roster in general. So I definitely look to do it. But like you say, if you can't find a good team, if you can't find a good trade, you can just keep holding Lamar Jackson even on a rebuild. That's the part I want to make clear. You don't have to trade him just because that's the best trade you can find. You can also just hold him.
Yeah.
Very interesting, gents. Appreciate it. No problem, man. I forget what that was about. Oh, Kenneth Walker. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good old Ken. I'm going to start calling him Ken Walker because almost no one knows who you're talking about when you call him Ken Walker for some reason. He's like one of those players you have to do the whole thing. Like, Ken Walker. Who? Ken Walker.
I keep
my insurance agent.
I keep forgetting that I want to do a what's the frequency Kenneth parody with Kenneth Walker. But
Deontay,
I'll have to do that.
Justin, you're a man after my own heart. That is exactly how I would spell Deontay. Johnson, 1 mid-second and an early second and 2/3 for Jacobs in the 107. Jacobs in the 107, I think. Did it quick.
Deontay Johnson,
a
mid-second, an early second, and 2/3. This is Josh Jacobs, I assume.
Yeah, I assume.
And the 107. I think I would rather have Deontay Johnson because I'd rather have him over Jacobs. A mid-second and an early second. Oh,
yeah, I don't think that quite adds up to 107.
It's close.
Yeah. It's
I think
Deontay
I'd still
Johnson,
rather have
Jacobs,
Deontay Johnson.
It's close. This is one of those trades I'm going to split the baby and say if you're not if you're more competitive, I think you take the top 12 running back over the top 12 wide receiver just because the top 12 running back's harder to find. And I don't think many of them trade for a single wide receiver, which is essentially the trade here. But yeah, it's even. I would say no one won. I think both sides got a decent deal here. I'd say this was a good trade. I mean, you've got a plethora of picks here, which I tend to hate, but it adds up to a pretty good trade.
Yeah.
That sound like a fair one? Yeah, it sounds fair. Half-point PPR. Does that affect it? Does that affect it for you if Deontay Johnson's scoring slightly less because of the half-point PPR?
Yeah, I guess maybe a little.
It's still pretty even, though. I think it was a good...
Yeah.
I like that trade. That's a good thing, by the way, that someone didn't win. Both sides should be fairly even. Both sides getting something different. I think you did your league make solid, and he did you a solid. I like that. CMAC, don't know who that is, or Harris next year.
I mean, if it's Najee, it's Najee. If it's Damian, it's CMC.
CMAC.
Yeah.
Good question, honestly. That's where... Oh, that sucks. For next year, CMC. But in Dynasty, Harris has got to have more value right there. He's got to have more value than CMC. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. He's my... Harris is my running back 2. Am I ranking?
Think we might be the only people who
somewhere...
don't hate Harris. This might be one of those other weird points of agreement.
He's so inefficient, Peter.
I have him as my running back 2 in Dynasty.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't like this. I don't like feeling like we agree. We should stop this. Not do this again.
It's good for you, man.
Like
taking take a multivitamin and agree with John every day.
The last two for me.
No, back up. Just because you're agreeing with me. I think that's the way it goes. Come on, let's get the direction right. And sell Claypool.
I would say it's the last two. I'm either selling or holding if I can't get what I want to sell.
Yep. Yeah, not a must sell, but yeah, shopping.
101 and Elijah Moore for Waddle in the 107.
Waddle.
I want Waddle.
Yeah.
I was looking at him again today, trying to see because I wasn't nearly as high to start the offseason as I've come to be. And I was like, Zach's gotten in my head. Way too many of my takes are just, Zach will like me if I say this. So I was really looking at it. And on a team efficiency basis, I have some concerns. He's like 1.1 yards per team attempt, for example, instead of his routes run is pretty decent, like 1.8 yards per route run. Something below that 2 threshold, but it was really good. Significantly below Chase, despite some things I've said. But the way he performed, is really rare for a rookie. If Jamar Chase wasn't there, we'd be going freaking nuts for Waddle.
Yeah.
And so I just want to get ahead of that. Yeah, I think Waddle's solid. This is basically Breece Hall and Elijah Moore for Waddle and a wide receiver, I guess. So, and a second. Yeah,
that's the only problem with it. You go
Breece
from
Hall gives me pause for thought. I like Elijah Moore, but sorry, carry on.
No, that's the only problem with this is 101. You were going to get Breece Hall. Now you've got
no running back.
Yeah. Now you're just adding more wide receivers, but I mean you just can't pass up Waddle for 101 that's and then more.
I agree with you on Waddle too. This sucks.
Yeah, man.
I hate getting better at this.
Good for you.
Well, but also
I can just disagree with everyone.
We're about to get to something we disagree with. Don't you worry.
I'm sure.
Was this the next
never
one where it says
away.
great show, guys?
Yeah.
I disagree. BJ Lee, great.
Hard pass.
Thanks,
hard
BJ.
pass.
We're trying our best. I don't know how interesting it is just talking to three grown men playing a fantasy game, but we really enjoy it. So we really appreciate you allowing us to enjoy it because
I am deeply offended being called a grown man.
that's fair. That's fair. I apologize and I take it back. Gavin Grant, Tony in the 209 or Carter? Sometimes I just don't know what to say. Like, I spend so much time arguing that I think Tony was impressive, but I don't think it's going to come through in the end just because the way he makes his production and the fact that his good numbers are based on such a small sample size, and that normally misses. And then you see this trade where he's basically being valued as a second-round pick. And I'm like, at that point, I'll take the upside of Tony. I really will. I think Tony's worth a late first, and that's not what this value is.
Ooh, I don't know that I agree with him being a late first, but
I don't want him.
Cool.
I'm just saying,
cool.
Based on ADP trade valuations, and there's got to be someone in your league who's, subscribed to.
But
Adam Harnstead likes Tony. Talking about more people listening to me talking about CMC. I mean, more people listen to Adam Harnstead, right? You know that. Everyone in here knows to go listen to what he says, and like everyone else is just making noise about analytics. And he thinks Tony's a decent shot as a sophomore wide receiver.
So
I want to be the noisy background. I don't need to be leading the charge on Tony's value. Jesus Christ.
Peter, do you think you could have more people buy in on Michael Carter or more people buy in on Kadarius Toney? Because that's where I'm thinking. Because no matter who I have, I'm looking to trade. I think I can get more for Carter, so I'm going to take that side.
Really?
I do.
Is it just he's got such high ADP because
there's positional scarcity
one guy in every league?
Positional scarcity is a big piece of this too.
No, Michael Carter's being drafted above Tony right now by about 5 spots. So he's being valued high on keep trade cut. I went to keep trade cut.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I would do is
that's insane. I don't want either. Is that bad?
So again, that's why I would take Carter. Not because I want either of them, but because I think I can get more for Carter in trade.
And I also think Carter is just generally more useful to you. Like it's going to be harder to find, somebody to fill into your running back 2 spot when, your starter is hurt or somebody's on bye, whatever. Like Tony is so replacement level.
But that the upside
is fairly unique in the way he plays. That's what worries me. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. Like the upside is with Tony because if you really squint, you could see him being that uber gadget guy.
Sure.
That could be like you don't say we don't talk about Debo. But that type of
now that's stuck in my
head.
The
next guy to demand a trade? I just want to say a big thank you to Mike Diggs here who just donated $20. I will find out where that money goes, Mike, and I will share it with my co-hosts or we'll do something with it because that's amazing. Thanks, man. You really don't have to, but we really appreciate it. I just noticed that there was like a big 20 up here. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, this is conflicting for me because I don't want really Carter at his value and I don't want Tony at his value. So the correct answer is probably Zach. Which one do you think you can trade away more easily?
Yeah. I mean, that's how I would approach that one. But if it's 2 players that I don't want, I want the one that everybody else values higher because I'm gonna ship them.
Yeah.
And what was your answer, John? The wrong one.
Damn it.
I was proud of that one personally. I was proud of that.
I know you were.
I set that up.
I had a different process, same conclusion. So we're good. Carter.
I don't know. Yeah, I think that's fair. Damn it. Chris,
Here
how
we go.
necessary is QB3 in Superflex? I mean, QBX apparently. That's just all the quarterback. In a dynasty league, it is very necessary. Honestly, it's very necessary to have a startable QB3 because I was going to swear there. Let's try not to. Getting one when you need one, or if one of yours gets injured, is going to be difficult.
Yeah.
If you don't,
it sucks, man, to have to throw all your fab at a freaking backup quarterback in the middle of the season.
They do come up every year, though. I think that's somewhat missed. There's David Mills, who's Gardner Minshew every year, but you do have to throw it at. I think the question comes in is that QB2 necessary if you team's already struggling? And I don't think it is. Like, if you don't have a league-winning team, then throwing everything at trading for a QB2 is where I say, well, ultimately, you're just better rolling into the draft and trying to get your own rookie QB.
But that 201 for Mills, I'd do that. Like,
yeah, definitely. That trade's fine. I was thinking the draft in general, like try and grab 3 at least. But
I play so much differently. And John and I had this conversation on the Superflex Super Show last week where he asked me, how do you play that? And I said, depends on the league that I'm in, depends on the people that I'm playing with. Because if people are going QBX and drafting quarterbacks early, I'm going to take the value. I'm going to take Jefferson or Chase, or, I'm going to stack up those young wide receivers. I'm probably going to have Jefferson in the first and Jalen Waddle in the second, and then I'll figure out quarterback. If I'm playing in a league where people are devaluing quarterback, absolutely I'm taking a bunch of cuts, because eventually people will realize, oh no, I don't have a quarterback, and we'll make trades, whether it's in year one or not. I'll be able to make trades. But with this one, that specific in the vacuum, Chris, I'm going to move the 201 for Mills. Yeah, I do that.
Yeah. To me, I've said it before. To me, any starting NFL quarterback should really have first round value. So,
I was gonna say I've tried to trade for Mills in a few because I like Mills. I think he did decent last year. Zach's pointed him at someone who looked like he played well, like I would know. So I'll take that opinion. Mm-hmm. And adding a quarterback's never bad, and they don't seem to have done anything to address the position outside of that. And no one in my league will give him up for anything near this. Like, they want that first. And I've sent offers on him, but what's your name again? John. That John's talking about. So I think that's solid value all around. Joe Herbert. WWZD. What would Zach do? Yeah, I got to get Zach out of my head.
Probably go for gelato. I mean, if we're being honest.
Build a shift, something. Mike Diggs, thoughts on Dameon Pierce? Seems like he'll be a monster and a decent landing spot. I'm going to have to look him up.
Dameon Pierce is the opposite of Kevin Harris. Dameon Pierce has the best vision in the class and cannot go anywhere.
These are two that you were saying you combine them?
Yeah. If we could Captain Planet them, if we could be like Dameon Harris, Pierce, and with our powers combined, but it's just I know a lot of people have been on him, but I just can't get over the fact that he's tremendous. He'll set up a hole. He'll make that cut and then cut back and he'll have the defender set up so he's on the outside of his offensive lineman, so he gets that block, and then he absolutely gets that 3 yards, and that's it. And then
this is a guy that makes me just read sucks. Decent last 2 years,
sucks,
but kind of sucks. Sorry.
That stuff makes me actually just not even enjoy watching football. Melvin Gordon does that to me. And I'm just, every time I watch Melvin Gordon just kind of dancing, trying to pick out a hole, I'm just like, this is the worst thing that has happened to me all week, is watching this.
Watching you in my leisure time.
But he's not even he's not bad at picking. He's so good. He's got exceptional vision. He processes, he presses the line of scrimmage well, he sets up blocks, he's got patience, he does that little 2-step cutback, it's great. And then it's just you can't create in space. He doesn't have long speed. He just athletically is underwhelming.
I was going to say, is it something that can be coached, or is it something he's just lacking? Because it sounds like right now the best way I can describe him is good player, bad producer, which is just a nice way of saying sucks.
Bad
Decent,
player, yeah,
but kind of sucks.
No, like you'll see flashes, and that like. Again, everybody watches Matt Waldman and listens to him break. Like if you watch Matt Waldman's breakdown, and he'll break down like 2 or 3 plays of Pierce, and you're like, oh, okay, well this could be fun. And then you watch like 5 or 6 games of Pierce, and you're like, this is not fun. This is the opposite of fun.
Joe says thanks, guys, and then he says Tony over Carter as a pure ceiling play. I think that's where we're coming down to. Tony, what I would say about the Tony pick and what I ended up thinking about afterwards, while John was babbling on about something I wasn't listening. The thing about taking the Tony side there is you kind of have to wait for him to get on the field and healthy and to do one of those amazingly athletic things. That's when the upside's going to kick in.
Luckily, he's tied to Daniel Jones, so the ceiling.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You just hopefully get him the ball, and he does crazy freaking athletic stuff, and everyone will be like, Tony! And then you can hopefully trade him for, like, buckets. But Carter's a running back 2, which is a running back 2, which is a running back 2, and you can get that whenever you want. And so, yeah, the floor is also any time. Whereas Tony, I think he's the upside side.
Yep.
But it's more dependent. He's going to have to field and press people again before you can find someone.
There's more upside playing the double zeros on the roulette wheel than there is playing like red. But
yeah,
your chances of winning money are better.
I understood gambling reference. Carter plus a 23 second and a 23 third, or Corey Davis.
Oh, geez,
my life.
I think the answer is the first.
Yeah, it's just a first.
23 first.
Mapping up these depth picks to try and make it feel even, but it's just a first.
Yeah.
Thank you for hurting me with Corey Davis. One more time.
Western Michigan.
What to do with Tim Patrick? Sell based on the Russ bump? Hold him. What's the Russ bump? Like, I was trading actively for him for a 3rd round rookie pick, and I was picking up steam. I managed to add him in a couple of leagues I hadn't added him to off the waiver. And then fucking Derek Brown, wherever he's gone, get back in here, Derek. It's like more popular than all of us combined. Mention the fact he's done well. And now I can't trade him for a 3rd anywhere. So, yeah. I will trade... For a 2nd round pick, I'll give you Tim Patrick. I guess that's my dividing line. But I quite like rostering him at below that value. Because, yeah, he's going to have games, I think, like he always has. Kind of where
it's just tough. You're not.
I mean,
really
there's
an
outside chance he's Adam Thielen. I didn't say that, John. Why would you say that? John, that's too far. I think he's just going to have a few good games. Okay.
Wow, Thielen, huh? Okay.
Right.
But I think, Peter, though, the crux of it is what are you getting for Tim Patrick on this Russ bump? Because that's what I mean. Yeah. I think most people are just kind of looking at Tim Patrick going, okay, I don't really want Tim Patrick unless you're Peter. And then Peter's like, here I give you a 3rd. 2 23 firsts and Michael Pittman. Give me Tim Patrick.
I'll give you Michael Pittman for Tim Patrick for sure. For sure. That's a lock. I don't roster Michael Pittman.
Peter.
I'm safe to say that.
I'm going to look. Yeah, I don't think I have any Tim Patrick. So we're.
I would say.
No one can call us on that.
if you can sell Tim Patrick as like the quote unquote clear wide receiver 3, I think you do it, because like the problem is he does so many things similar to Cortland Sutton, where KJ Hamler coming back has a more unique role. So to say that either of them is a clear wide receiver 3, I don't think so, but I do.
That's why I like him, though. There's an outside possibility. He's actually the wide receiver 2 for Russell Wilson. I don't think so.
Sometimes,
but I think he's still going to have games. So for a 3rd round pick, I like it. For a 2nd round pick, I'm probably out. Yeah. So if you're getting a 2nd round pick, Russ bump, trade him for a 2nd.
Yep.
If you can't, then just hold. I think it could be fun, if nothing else. That one time he catches a touchdown, you're like, Tim Patrick. You're at me, and we're like, yeah, Tim Patrick bros. Yeah, no. probably trade.
When Tim Patrick catches a touchdown, I'm just going to type Kendrick Bourne at PA Howdy and turn it off.
I love Kendrick Bourne too. 101, 105, 106. When is the best time T?
Now is the best time. I don't know.
Time to trade, you think?
On the clock.
Technically on the clock.
I think he got cut off.
Yeah, I think so. Time to trade, I think, was what he was going for. I don't know. I don't think the 101 value is going anywhere. So, like John was saying earlier, like 101 probably trades a little easier right now for exactly the value that you want. And that's what you need to trade it. Whereas on the clock is going to be better for 5, 6.
Yep.
But I will say, like, I've tried that in a few leagues and, like, no one's around to trade. Like, you're on the clock, you've got a ticking timer, and depending on how long that timer is, I just can't find anyone who's interested in trading on the clock. So in those leagues, I was like, man, I should have just been sending offers before the draft. So you got to know your league a little bit for anything. But as a rule, yeah, on the clock is always best.
It's interesting, though, the 105, 106, to me, looking at those. And again, I've only got one frame of reference because I have only been in one rookie draft so far this year. But Hall went first, Willis went second, Wilson went third, Walker went fourth, which means at 5, you had your pick of Burks, London, Pickens, Jameson, Williams. Like, that 105 may be fun.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Best time to make ridiculous fishing for picks for players during the NFL draft or after? It's a good question because a lot can change in the draft and people can become less interested in players. But I actually think this year we're going to be surprised. Like, it feels like a class where they're going to be more selected in the first 3 rounds than we expect. Not because I think, we should be excited about these players, but the NFL is going to be a little thirsty. I don't know. That's just a feeling, though. I'm not a draft nick or nothing.
I think the fun thing with this draft is if there are players who go early in the NFL draft that you don't really care about, like those players don't move up for me.
Yeah.
When I look at the NFL draft, like if Drake London goes in the first, that does not move him up. It doesn't.
Okay. Yeah.
The only players that are going to move up are the injury guys. Pickens, if Pickens goes in the first, that's a check mark. If Jameson Williams goes, I guess Drake London was an injury guy too. I forget that he got hurt, but he still, that's kind of baked into, like, everyone expects him to go in the first. So the players that I don't like, when they go early, I'll trade them.
I think that's fair. I'm more expecting players to fall. I guess I look at it a little differently, where I'm not, like, I don't have them ranks and ranks, and this is how good they are. They're just comparisons and how good I feel about their profile comparisons. But then, like, London goes in the first and everyone else goes in the third. Yeah, he's going to move up by proxy, if you know what I mean.
Right. I mean, that's fair. But I that would be an interesting scenario.
Yeah. I think it's an interesting question, Rob. I don't think we have an exact answer at all. Like, only if we could know the draft could we be able to answer this. Well, what you got to do is trade him right now because the draft is going to suck and everyone's going to hate these picks after the draft. And I can't say that. I assume there's going to be draft capital spent on players and therefore people are going to get more interested. But that could bite us in the bud. Predicting the future always does. Sorry for all the Carter questions. Not a problem. I'm just happy not to be answering James Conner questions this week. Every week it's just
Michael
James
Carter. So disrespectful. It's Michael Carter.
No. We had 2 weeks in a row where we got, like, I would say conservatively 25 James Conner questions. During
different people.
It was great.
They did not seem to be coordinating. They were just honestly, but
just
that's
a player of the week.
I
week.
think that's what you're teaching us here, Gavin. Is that Carter's one of those people are looking for shop for a value, and he's got some. He's going to produce something. He's not a bad player. He's going to get a role, and I think the upside's muted. But that's good to know. Andrew Carlson, buy, sell, trade Mike Williams. Trade, I guess.
Yeah, I'm probably trading him. He's not the type. Like, he's not my type. In terms of wide receivers, I like the high volume
It's amazing how much of fantasy sounds like dating advice.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I'm just gonna.
I refrain from saying I like them slotty. I mean, we're there.
That's fair. Yeah. I trade him if I can find anything near his value. Joe Hubbard, I need Packers and Chiefs to draft players.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I saw somebody the other day was like, it was a question. It might have been Tyler asked the question that was like, what, who are you taking after the 101 if Hall's gone? And somebody said whichever receiver the Packers take or whichever receiver the Chiefs take. And I'm like, not a good plan.
Yeah, landing spot doesn't do a whole lot for wide receivers generally. It's more about the actual draft capital for them.
Yeah.
Running backs, on the other hand,
or their talent. Their
Right.
talent is a good thing.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that clearly matters, but you're just gonna have to push it into a I don't know what to do with it bucket. I do, because like AJ Brown going to the Titans was terrible. All right.
He was
so
good, Peter. I tried. So good.
But there you go. It's difficult. Yeah. It's definitely not a thing I can use to say it's more or less likely or better or worse. And so it's just kind of a feel your feels kind of an aspect to it. Where's Joe? The other Joe, not this Joe, who's still a hero constantly in the chat. We love him, but the other Joe, who we also love. She's just absent today. That's my feeling. Not really, but we miss him. Hope we're all okay. Cole.
Yes.
You're like Breece Hall to the Texans.
Yeah,
honestly,
that's fine. Again, there's really only 3 spots that just completely wreck him. It's Indianapolis, Pittsburgh, Detroit.
That goes back to the difficulty in landing spot. Like Sankey going to the Titans to use the exact same landing spot was meant to be great for him. And it just wasn't.
Yeah.
Landing spot's difficult to read.
Luckily, I don't think that one's going to happen, by the way. There's kind of no reason for Houston to go running back that early.
Houston's done a lot of things that didn't seem to have a lot of reasons. Fair, but okay. I hope Bills snag him at 25.
Yeah.
I keep seeing
Well, that's the question. Is talking about rushing quarterbacks and running backs. Like both Zach Moss and Devin Singletary are decent players. Clearly, they can hold their own in the NFL. Can you be better than them enough that you can actually co-opt a large enough workload with Josh Allen?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that goes back to the central question, isn't it? Is Zach Moss and Devin Singletary just not quite enough? Or is that just the problem of having a rushing quarterback in that particular offense? I don't know, but if Breece Hall went there, I'd bet on it. Yep. I'd bet on Breece Hall being able to do that to achieve a running back one workload. Yeah, I think that'd be cool. And it would scare some people off, so you might even get him a little lower. Mike Oritz, DK Metcalf to the Packers. Thoughts on this possible landing spot? I know. I tend to stay away from speculating landing spots just because I think we get them wrong a lot. And again, we find it difficult to read how the landing spot is going to read for a player. I think that'd be good. DK and Aaron Rodgers, right? Ultimately. I think that's one of the reasons why trading for DK at depressed prices right now is a pretty good move in Dynasty. Honestly, I'm having a hard time putting him on my buy list just because he's a very limited player. He's a more limited player, not very. He's more limited. But that's one of the few landing spots that I think everyone will be excited about and bring his value back.
I like Aaron Rodgers better than I like Drew Lock. Yes.
You have a way with words. I saw Joe online yesterday, but not today. I suppose everyone has a life, except for me. Kevin, except for us. Okay. Mooney plus Mitchell on the 204, or CMC and Juju.
CMC and Juju.
Yeah.
Gavin, my dude.
Man. They keep coming up
bag
with
that's the best way to get it. I don't have words. CMC and Juju. Those are my words. That side, very easily, I would hat tip the man, wish him well, and expect him to leave the league next year.
Yeah.
I think we're at the end. Oh, no. Would you guys be up for a mock draft using Sleeper?
No, not tonight. I would be up for
Probably
sleeping.
not. But we could do that.
Thinking
we
about a mock draft.
And try and mock draft next week. Actually, next week, it'll be just before the draft. Actually,
The night before, yeah.
Oh wow, we should definitely do a mock draft that night. That'd be almost like we planned it and we really didn't. We are really unscheduled. We just go live every Wednesday and see what happens. That's honestly the plan here. John's here because I happen to be like, oh look, there's John's DMs from where I was talking to him last week. Let's see if he wants to come on tonight. That's the level of planning and organization you can expect from a PA Howdy stream. But I'm glad you guys seem to find them fun to some extent. AJ Dillon, Rondell Moore, Jerry Jeudy, 12-team Superflex. AJ Dillon's an interesting proposition, but I think this is Jeudy. And so's Moore, but I think this is Jeudy.
See, I think I'm going to fall on the other side of this. Even though I prefer Jerry Jeudy on my team, but I've been hanging out with Russ enough that I can trade. Like, I'm starting to get confident in trading. I've made some moves.
That's nice to hear, man.
And
I'm not.
I think I can. I think I can add Rondell Moore and then trade AJ Dillon to get someone that I think is fairly close to equivalent to Jerry Jeudy, and so that's the side that I'm going to fall on.
I think Rondell Moore has a decent chance to be an outlier, as the word actually means. That word's thrown around so much, but anyway, in that he should bust from here on out. But I think there's context around his production. He hadn't played in 2 years. That maybe excuses it a little bit. He could question Kirk, but whatever. AJ Dillon's definitely going to get higher in value. So if you're comfortable trading for trade, I don't hate it. But I think Jerry Jeudy is ultimately what I want here.
Yep.
Like, I think that's the end result of a trade line that I try to go down. So I'll try and get AJ Dillon a different route. But, that's cool. Zach has a different opinion, and I am comfortable with that. Justin, Ayuk or the 109 and Irv Smith. I mean, Ayuk,
Yeah, I do that. I do.
Yeah.
Irv Smith doesn't register there, and
no,
Yeah,
that's nothing.
There would have to be a pretty heavy tight end premium for that to work.
Cool. Never caught Young live. Wow. I'm glad you did this time, man. Really appreciate it, man. Happy to be here. Last question. You all excited for the draft? Any draft day traditions for you guys? I don't personally, except, getting overly excited. I'm really excited about it. I mean, there's something to say about seeing the results of the thing you've been speculating on for so long. I'm really interested to see what it overall does for how I rank players and what it does for their post-draft model.
See them like ruin our values.
Draft, and honestly, just on a human level, I'm a player-orientated. Like, I want these guys to succeed. And seeing players get drafted is really excited on a soppy kind of emotional level. Don't tell people I have those, but I do. Do not have those.
The draft day tradition, creating a burner email account to sign up for the free week of Fubo TV to be able to get the live TV to watch the draft for that week. Fair. That's my tradition.
Yeah, I guess my draft day tradition is Googling how do I watch for free and finding whatever pirated link. It sends me down. And letting all those viruses come with.
Because I don't have live. I don't do live TV until the football season because I don't want to pay for it.
I don't.
I'll be honest. Like I don't watch anything.
Yeah.
So
it's high, man. It's a lot of money when you stream to get those Fubo channels. Jesus, I don't watch any of the other stuff. Go away. But yeah. Do you, Cole? Before you jet, you got one? Anyone got any fun draft day traditions? Let us know because we apparently just are into pirating. Gavin, I thought so. These are the offers I'm getting. That's interesting. Weaves, good show, lads. See you next week. Appreciate that.
Appreciate
Thanks
you.
very much for turning up. P to the R. I still don't say that right. Feels like I don't say that right. Joe Herbert, I like your Green Bay KC drafting players you don't like. Yep.
Every time I see P to the R, I get in my head is the Dynasty time machine. T to the I to the M to the E, M A to the C H I N E when I did that for Bosch and Bob.
Joe says, as a Giants fan, my draft day traditions include tears and yelling.
At least they probably won't take a running back in the first this year.
not being a team fan
Maybe.
is just
Probably.
the better way. Root for players. Screw the teams. Teams are just like the mop that's had its head replaced 3 times and its handle replaced 4 times over the last 10 years. You know, teams aren't a thing.
Speak for
Billionaires
yourself.
play
We got a
things.
really nice mop up here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we get like
Cool.
a 7-time mop or a
Nice. Don't know really where to go with that, so I'm just gonna let it kind of hang awkwardly in the
We look
air.
over there.